again for the Dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys wanted to fight towards.
On this side, and there's another time they can't doing that game, but Box is throwing the missile ball, unable to get too much out, but finds the two before his last dies, and Super Fried Rice for his Steph does not unfortunately have enough uptake heal up. They call him back in the circuit, but finds one. Ichibai Yuno, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage to Tribal back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a team fight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still
find
performing
Akali
extremely well.
And she can't get out, simply tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen. It's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact fall.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We're talking about Wombo on one side, we're talking about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time it's not directly hit on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the lead, and they would take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to League of Legends Champions Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank type.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Normally Darius is always and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth coming up.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the next week of Risen Esports. We are very excited to be here. I'm glad all of y'all have joined us from all around the world. I'm here with my partner Slatty. As usual, we are going to get right into draft. We do apologize for the delay, a bit of miscommunication, and but now we're past that. We're ready to get going with some exciting League of Legends action. Slatty, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful today. Having a great time. Ready to cast some games, baby! We got Exhaulted Gaming versus DoV Black, and we're probably going to get a draft really soon because of the delays. So, despite our schedule getting a little messed up, we will be able to keep somewhat on schedule. So, I'm excited. We're just about to get in draft. And, you know, I would love to talk about this draft, but man, it's just in the back of my mind constantly how NA is, you know, not doing the greatest at, you know.
We're hopping right into the bashing NA at Worlds, are we?
yeah, of course.
We're like not hesitated to do that, so.
Yeah, NA's not doing so great, but you know what is doing great is this draft. As it's starting up, we got Karma, Seraphine, and Aurelia as the first 3 bans. First 2 bans for Exalted Gaming are this Aurelia and this Karma. Aurelia, you know, the type of champion that if someone plays that champion on the enemy team, you have to ban it because you run the risk of just getting taken over instantly by an Aurelia.
Yeah, you combine that with like something like a Fiora, like those kind of champions you just want to get the heck out of draft. So I think that's more of a trauma ban. Maybe someone on DoV Black is just a bit more comfortable on that sort of champion. But we do see at least some kind of meta ban here as the Hecarim, someone who has been taking over Worlds, is out of here. So that is at least sick into the meta in some way there.
And oftentimes the question of how should these teams at this level really ban? Should we ban only comfort? Should it be like completely meta, or we should ban like half and half? And we see that sort of half and half style from Exalted Gaming. We'll see if that comes in the form of possibly a win. I do personally like banning sort of meta champions combined with some target bans for one tricks. Aatrox ban thrown out, and the Maokai, no surprise, first pick. We're not really feeling too interesting today. We just want to go with the Maokai pick. Really strong both in top lane and jungle right now.
Yeah, who wants to go with the quad flex Maokai? I think everyone does. So Exalted Gaming gonna pick that up. One of the most powerful aspects of the Maokai. We have no idea where it's going. It could go into 4 or 3 different roles. Why did I say 4? That is incorrect. I don't think, unless we can see a Maokai ADC at some point, but Three different roles for the Maokai. Well, it's Kog'Maw and Lulu, a classic duo with the bot lane, picked up on the other side here for DoV Black.
Yep, it kind of forces their hand if they pick Kog'Maw. I think part of the hesitation to not select a Lulu was because, oh, we want Kog'Maw early to take it away from them and potentially have it, but wait a minute, if we leave Lulu open, they're just going to take it, we don't have the combo, and we can really struggle in those situations. I think Kog'Maw, interestingly, a lot of people would say, oh, Maokai's pretty good in the Kog'Maw, he's got great engage, he can lock him down in the situation, but as long as he sticks by Lulu, he doesn't need to move to have so much attack speed and damage. He doesn't even move normally in team fights to output that maximum damage. So I think it's a great response pick as Kai'Sa is thrown out. A lot more of an aggressive dive champion. Definitely a very great synergy with the Maokai.
Absolutely. So again, just more follow-up there from the Maokai. We still can't see what role he is in right now, as looks like the ADC and the mid laner picked up for Exhaulted Gaming, as Syndra, Kai'Sa locked in. And then also, I do have to mention, that is brand new Syndra. I believe she is active now in Risen Esports, so brand new. We're going to see a whole different side of this Syndra with the new rework for her, so that is a very, very exciting pick here for Exalted.
And they opt to lock in Olaf. You don't see it too often as a pick. It used to be really prevalent in pro play a couple seasons ago, but now, as a response to something like a Maokai, probably one of the good counters to him you can get out of the ults, you can get out of the point and click CC. So maybe allowing him to keep having access to the backline, especially since Syndra, pretty immobile champion. Kai'Sa without her ulti, without the killer instinct, can struggle a little bit to get away from Olaf. So I think the Olaf pick's great here in order to really counter these AD carries, these carries that don't have the best way of getting out of situations. And Brumble and Trundle, Ryman.
Rumble in the Trundle. Wait.
Rumble in the Trundle.
But yeah, so we do have our final 4 bans coming out. Again, you have to think DoV Black. What do you ban in this situation? They are targeting junglers. They don't think the Maokai is going into the jungle, so opting to take out that Trundle and the Jarvan 4. And on the other side, looks like taking out some solo laners here, as looks like they're hovering Dr. Mundo right now, and Rumble already taken off the board.
And honestly, I don't agree with banning junglers here. I agree with banning junglers here, actually, because the Maokai... Oh, wait, actually, no. I mixed it up in my mind, sorry. But I think Maokai support here would be quite a misplay, because the problem with that is you're relying on you automatically winning lane against Lulu and Kog'Maw to really put that pressure on to not allow them to scale and get you Kai'Sa fed. But the problem is Kog'Maw has so much incredible range that to a point and click CC or like Maokai, he can sort of outrange him and make it so Maokai doesn't have the opportunity to even use that point and click CC to get those early all-ins. And Lulu Kog'Maw not really slouches. I would say they would honestly win in trades and all-ins versus a Kai'Sa Maokai bot lane. So I would like for them to put the Maokai jungle rather than put support, but apparently DoV Black sort of reading it, going support with this Jarvan ban. As they lock in the Kali, they have the dive with Olaf, and they're looking to continue that trend with a Kali.
Alright, so it does not look like we will get that Maokai support, as it is Rakan locked in here for Exalted Gaming, their last pick coming through here. So another thing you do have to mention, it is World Season, so a lot of these picks, some of them you have seen on the World stage. A few kind of off meta picks here is, I do not believe we've seen Kog'Maw. We have not seen the new Syndra, because obviously, but Maokai and Kai'Sa obviously have been picked quite prevalently. Akali has been a very popular counter pick as well. Amumu has been picked up a lot as a support, but it looks like instead we got Amumu going into the jungle here for Exalted Gaming, and it's going to be countered by DoV Black in the Volibear. So finally, we have our draft all set up. What is your opinion on it so far?
If I had to say point blank, DoV Black absolutely won draft. They slam dunked on him. It's like the you know the meme image of Venom dunking on Spider-Man. That's how I'm feeling right now.
I have seen the meme, yes.
in his current draft, completely dunked on them. Because here's the thing about Exalted Gaming's draft is that the way the identity of the comp is, it's like we need to get in to be successful. We want to lock you up with this CC. We want something. We want Amumu to jump in, get that ult. Rakan follow up, engage. They want to be able to burst down these kind of like they want to dive this Kog'Maw, but you're diving into a Lulu Kog'Maw, which is somewhat difficult sometimes. And also with like an Olaf to help them out. If that Olaf plays Peel and uses ulti defensively to make sure he can't get locked up, he can honestly duel anybody who dives into the Kog'Maw. And the problem that I currently see with this draft is that the only way to really burst the Kog'Maw is for Kai'Sa to Killer Instinct onto the backline to provide that damage. Maokai, Rakan, and Mumu doesn't really have the necessary damage to burst a Kog'Maw, especially with Lulu ulti, and the team backing it up. So unless the Kai'Sa Killer Instinct's in there and puts herself at risk, the main damage dealer of Exalted Gaming, it gets really rough to make this comp work. And so if Olaf and Akali and the rest of the members of DoV Black recognize that, all they have to do is wait for that Killer Instinct, dive on the Kai'Sa, and then they just clean up the fight from there.
Absolutely. So, here's my take on this draft. So, I think Exalted has a very strong protect the present kind of mentality. They have a very clear win condition. It is get this Kai'Sa and this Syndra far ahead. They have Peel and Maokai. They have tons of Peel in the Rakan. Amumu has CC on every crevice of his bubby body. So, like, it is very easy, I think, for Exalted to really protect their carries, make sure that they can get off that damage that is needed in order to burst the Kog'Maw. Do they have a lot of dive as well? I think so too. They have the CC, they have the speed with the Maokai speed up, with the Rakan speed up. I think they actually do have a lot of dive to be able to get in, take out this Kog'Maw. However, with a lot of protect the president kind of comps, they are countered more by these sneaky assassins that you cannot CC, and they can dive in, kill your carries, and get out, like Akali. So it will be very interesting to see if the DoV Black can manage to get onto these two carries, because they have Exalted has really put their all their eggs into this basket here.
Yeah, they put a lot of eggs in the basket, but I will say DoV Black's comp is a little bit awkward in some cases. I will point out that this Olaf, sort of the identity, he does deal with a lot of CC really well, but he's not really great for protecting Kog'Maw. They ran a Kog'Maw Lulu first two, and the rest of their team comp doesn't really help protect that Kog'Maw from winning. When you draft a Kog'Maw Lulu, that is your win con. You play towards them, but it can be a really big struggle if you can't necessarily do that. But I do like the Volibear pick here overall, even though it's not really more of a Peely style, because Volibear is really strong in the early game, and sending him down bot lane constantly to allow this Kog'Maw to get these early kills and help win those skirmishes and prevent Maokai from potentially making it so that Kai'Sa and Rakan can get ahead in the lane. The Volibear can come down and protect them a lot in these situations. And if you're leaving an open lane of Kai'Sa Rakan versus Kog'Maw Lulu, it can be really rough for Kai'Sa because she's 525 attack range, and Kog'Maw has that increased range to deal that extra damage. And also, when it gets towards this level 6, Kog'Maw Lulu Volibear, pretty good at diving. It's going to be hard for you to really deal a lot of damage when you have something like a Lulu wild growthing the Volibear under the tower to tank up more tower shots, and they prevent the tower. So that's kind of my prediction, that Volibear is going to really go in there. Okay,
but I have 1 point to make that'll counter everything that you just said.
Okay.
Volibear is going top, as Yatvij is the one who locked in that Volibear for the side of DoV Black. So it looks like Stephen Hawking will be running the Olaf in the jungle instead. So I think I just countered your entire prediction with that. So
I mean, yeah, I will say that, yeah, that kind of does swing things a lot for me, actually, because that does counter all my points. And with an Olaf in the jungle, it's a lot harder to really get things going, especially since
I 100% agree. I think this is a bit of a blunder for the side of DoV Black. It also can just be a matter of comfort. They wanted to play this sort of comp, and Yatvij is just a little bit more comfortable on the Volibear, while Stephen Hawking is a bit more comfortable on the Olaf. Yeah. It could be something like that, obviously. With this sort, we reiterate it every single week. It's comfort over meta at this level of play. So it could just be that sort of aspect to it. But again, you do have to mention that the gank setup from a Volibear, especially in the early game, you have a point-and-click CC, which is so much more powerful than Stephen Hawking just running in and throwing axes as fast as possible. So maybe a bit of a blunder for the side of DoV Black, but we'll see if they're still able to effectively execute this comp.
Mousetrap, let me ask you one simple question. Is it a Mumu top or Maokai top?
It is Maokai top. I have not seen an Amumu top, I think, ever. So I think that
I've never
is...
seen the Amumu top, but I was like, their Maokai's going jungle, but then they opt to go for the Amumu jungle. I think the pick's pretty good, honestly. It's got really great gank into, especially like a Kog'Maw, because you can blow his flash and then you can just bandage toss again. And I think the crucial thing that's going to come down to in these team fights, because I do think these two comps will go to a later game, like, kind of state. I think they'll be pretty even, at least early on, trading back and forth in certain lanes. But the real important thing I want to point out, especially with this level of play, is respecting summoner cooldown timers. If Kog'Maw has flash, it's very hard to win a fight, and you have to find a way to blow that flash, get out, and re-engage in order to win them. Because if you can burn something like, you either need to burn Lulu's Wild Growth, Kog'Maw's flash, or potentially QSS from him if he does buy that. You have to blow at least one of those three to make it so you can successfully have the damage to kill him. And there's going to be a lot of times when I worry for Exalted Gaming where they might want to just say, oh, we're winning. We can win this. Let's just go into the Kog'Maw. Boom, flash, boom, wild growth. He does so much damage, completely shreds everyone who dives on him. And then they take Baron and they convert that into a win. So if they're not careful here, Exalted Gaming can definitely run into a lot of trouble. But knowing that DoV Black is running the Volibear top, these comps are definitely a lot more even than I initially thought.
I 100% agree. So, like, I do have to ask because we do this every week. You know I have a bad record on it. I was wrong again last week. Who do you predict, just from this draft, is taking game one?
All right.
A lot of pressure here.
Flip a coin.
We're just going by chance. Okay.
Yeah, Exalted Gaming.
Really?
It's,
okay.
It's pure 50-50 at this point. I feel like both comps are like equally good. I think, okay, I will say I think both comps are, I think DoV Black has the slightly better comp, but their comp is also a little bit harder than Exalted Gaming's comp, which I think balances it out and makes it sort of 50-50. So if I were to say pure draft, I would say DoV Black, but if I were to say like in terms of in-game execution, I think Exalted Gaming takes it out.
All right, so I mean, more CC equals more GG, as I always say. So, definitely going to be a rough one. I will just take the other side in this in this just so we can say one of us is right at the end of the day. So I will actually take the side of DoV Black. I hope my boys don't let me down because I am so bad at making these predictions. So we will see at the end of this game. We do have to jump to a quick break before we hop into the actual game. So please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more League of Legends action in just a moment.
Back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang, Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up,
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v2 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice to escape with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal him. And they comes back in the circle, Flip finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage to Tree back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a team fight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still performing extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out, simply tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact spawn.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the ace, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9k HP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage. They want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes too strong, but this Twitch is free-firing in the backline. Good Death trying to stall time for his AD carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and this series. It seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor.
Delay here, but we're finally into the game. There was a bit of a production error, so we are hopping in at a bit of a weird time.
Oh, hold up. We're just making sure we get everything together. There was a little bit of a production issue going on. We unfortunately could not get in the game quick enough for the loading, or some issue. We're currently getting resolved. We should be able to bring you to the game pretty soon, unless we don't already have it on stream, because I can't really tell right now.
Yeah, we cannot. Okay, there we go. There we go. We finally got it. Okay, perfect.
I'd rather we be in the dark than the viewers be in the dark. That's
yes, the viewers weren't in the dark, but we are. So we are hopping in at around 3 minutes, which is a bit unfortunate. We did miss the beginning part of the game, so we do apologize if we missed any bit of shenanigans there. However, we're finally in, and let's see what happens. So finally,
yeah,
it looks
finally
like
we're in the game.
Yes, so we do apologize. A bit of a production error there. The client did not actually load for our producer, so it did that bug and then it quit out, which was very unfortunate. But finally, we are finally in. So there we go. Slatty, we haven't really missed much, so thank God for that. We didn't miss any like level 1 5-man invades or anything like that. But taking a look at this game, looking at the CS numbers right now, what are you thinking? Like, there hasn't been much, but
Might be a little action here.
yeah, it might be a little action here as Urishi-chan is going a bit down.
No, Ignite, he ran the ghost like a cringe kid. Oh wait, we gotta fight here.
Okay, yeah, Rigo's Why My Dudes is why do these guys have the longest names? That is
Dude,
very unfortunate.
They're teasing us right now. Okay, honestly, I'm kind of glad this was an LCS game where nothing is happening, at least at the start of the game. But
there is a lot of action as Miyuchan also gets a bit chunked out there, but Gator Crunchy able to dish out that damage, but he is able to escape. So
yeah,
also some action here in the top lane as well, but it looks like it's calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, but honestly, if you look at this wave state in the bot side, it is really, really bad for the blue team, Miyu-chan and Improvise, because the wave is like frozen. And you can see that Improvise was trying to like W the wave in order to get it pushed in and get something going, but he couldn't really make anything happen. So they just were able to freeze it. They weren't able to get it pushed in, and so now the wave's in a perfect spot. You see them recalling. Smart, like this is really good recalling here in the bot side. They know the wave's gonna stay there, so by the time they get back, they still have it frozen. But
unfortunately, not the kill is just not there. Yatki's just able to walk away with just a sliver of health. However, he is staking around in lane, which is a little curious. He does have the TP. Okay, he's finally going to go back, so not much has happened there. But Phoenix Flare now dives into the thigh-high demise, but unfortunately, dashes galore. Akali's able to make her escape.
yep, champion is not balanced and will never be balanced, right? Please rework her again. I would really appreciate that. But if you'll notice, like, this is what Kog'Maw needs to do, and like you can see the desperation coming out of like Rakan and Kai'Sa. Like they need to make a place happen somewhere else, or else they can't walk up to the wave right now. Actually, no, did it crash? Oh no, Kai'Sa and Rakan were able to make it back to the lane, so I do think the wave is eventually able to crash. So not necessarily the doomsday scenario that I was predicting before, But overall, it does showcase to you that this Kog'Maw knows his wave states. And if you know your wave states in AD carry, that means you're probably a pretty darn good one at that. And so if you're good at wave states, you're probably good at mechanics. And I would like to see how this Kog'Maw would play these late game team fights if we do get to those.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned at the beginning, Gator Crunchy is going to be the primary carry for this squad. So him being able to get onto the enemy team and delete the carries himself will be essential. But Phoenix Flare now may have caught out the High Demise. He is a level down, misses the initial engage. The High Demise is just able, again, just to dash away and make his escape and not really caring much about Phoenix Flare CC.
As we look at Dragon coming down here, both junglers have sent their, some of their resources down here in the bot side. So we could potentially look at an early Drake take as Olaf does kind of go into the pit here. You don't see that too often. You often see the first objective actually be this Rift Herald because it provides you so much value in the early game. And a Dragon really doesn't. It provides you immensely win con.
Here in the bot lane, Phoenix Flare has to run away. He is still that level 5 improvised, dives in, dives back out. Phoenix Flare follows up. Dawson's Creek is very, very low. The High Demise also in a very dangerous health. And now Stephen Hawking is finally able to take out that dragon, and the disengage from DoV Black. No blood is spilled at either end of the map.
And, coming up big for the side of Thigh High Demise and his squad, he's able to deal a little bit of damage in the backline, gets exhausted, forced to ulti back out, but that buys the space and the time to allow his team to get this objective, but we see a little bit of a scuffle.
Yatbeej is dangerously low. He does get the ult off, but unfortunately the tree just does too much damage, but he is going to be able to heal up with that W. Yatbeej now, the flash out from Arashi Chan. Yatvi gets the stun, but the knockback from Arashi Chan will be able to keep him alive a little bit longer. Now he is dangerously low. He's getting chased by the sapling, and the sapling is the one to take out the Volibear. First blood for Arashi Chan in top lane.
If you ever got coached by any top laner or any laner in general, you will know that minions are key to winning these fights. And even though Yatvid should be favored into those top side 1v1s, the minions were constantly ticking on him, so he was taking a significant amount of damage, which made it swing in terms of Arashi Chan's favor. So he was able to root him up, and then the minions were just wailing at him with the casters. They were casting their like little pellets at him, but then finally it was the sapling that finished him off. Well played by Arashi Chan just to back out, knows that he doesn't want to go for the full out fight when he's going to be taking minion damage.
Absolutely, and it looked like Yatbeej was winning the matchup. You could see the CS difference there in top lane, but unfortunately just gives that kill over. A bit unfortunate for the DoV Black top laner, but well played by Arashi Chan, using the minion waves to his full advantage, getting the solo kill, and now has gained about a 400 gold lead for his team, so well done to him, and we'll see what the rest of his team is able to do on opposite ends of the map as Rift Herald has spawned in, but Thigh High Demise now dives in, gets blown away by Rico Suave. Thigh High Demise gets to throw out a few more shurikens, but unfortunately no deaths in the mid lane.
And so the perfect execution was used, so the kill threat is mostly negated, but both junglers on the top side maybe look to get this Herald, and what I would like to point all our viewers to your attention to is the vision in the vision game. Is that I've seen blue team using a lot better vision. They have vision all over this Rift Herald. They have good vision in the bot side. And definitely what you'll notice with a lot of the better teams in this leagues, or at least some of the greats of this league, is that they have really great vision control. Very crucial for objective taking, very crucial for making picks. And so if you do have that vision advantage, it's often a mark of a very good team. As you see this Olaf trying to contest onto this Rift Herald. He does not care about this advantage in vision and just wants to get the second objective for his team this game.
Yep, you can see those control wards on either side of him, so unfortunately he does manage to sneak away that Rift Herald, so DoV Black will get at least a sum of gold back after giving up that first blood, so that is very well done to Stephen Hawking, able to pick up that objective. So objective control has been primarily on the side of DoV Black, as they are able to take both the first dragon and the first Rift Herald, so well done to the jungler there. We do have a bit more tussling up here in the top lane, but Yatveej is able to make his escape. Phoenix Flare looking for something in bot lane, not able to get it, but Arashi Chan dives back in. Yatveej is now just clawing away at the space tree. Will get a bit of a heal, but taking yet another tower shot. So playing a bit of fire here in the top lane here for Yatveej.
And as you'll notice, like amidst of all the action, like the camera panned to that fight, but that fight really wasn't the crucial thing you saw in the last 20 seconds. It was really that blown flash from the Kog'Maw. Without that coming up for the next dragon fight, if they do have to fight it, they are at a massive disadvantage. And I'm not sure if you want to take the fight at that point, but we do see Olaf diving in onto the Rakan.
Yeah, unfortunately, Improvise does have a lot of dashes, but now will pop the ultimate and the flash. No flash on Kog'Maw. He will get knocked up, but unfortunately, the rest of his team is there. Stephen Hawking now just throwing down his axes, keeping his ADC alive. Improvise dives in, almost gets deleted, but is able to walk away. Unfortunately, they are not able to pick off Gator Crunchy.
Yep, they do their best. The Rakan with a pretty good engage, sees the opportunity where the Kog'Maw is a little bit isolated, and he wanted to stall the time for his jungler to get there, but he just wasn't in there in time. And now they got the 4-man down on the bot side, but I don't think they can make anything happen. I think this is sort of misplay on the side of blue team. I don't think they really want to go for this, especially since Akali is allowed to free farm in this mid lane. And if I want to point out one of the crucial matchups of the game, I would say it is this mid lane. Syndra versus Akali. Akali has that very big kill threat on something like a Syndra, but we see a fight coming out of the mid lane.
So Phoenix Flare does get the initial engage off. Akali now forced to flash away. The second Mummy Shade will not land, unfortunately. So Thigh High Demise is able to make her escape. We do see some more tussling up here in the top lane. But unfortunately, two burly boys will very much struggle to kill each other at this point in the game. But it looks like they're going to try.
Yeah, they're going to keep trying. And, this matchup on the top side, you're not going to see too much action. We've seen a little bit in the early game they've delivered, but that is not the norm. But something that you will see action of, to point you back to your attention before that fight eventually broke out, but it looks like another one will.
And it looks like we got the roam up here from Rico Suave. We got the ult coming out from Arashi-chan. We'll get the Bear dangerously low. He may have to ult away. The Syndra is here just dishing out damage. The ult comes through. He will be able to heal off with that W. Now all of a sudden there's 3 of the enemy team. This is not where you want to be. Syndra goes down, followed up by Arashi-chan. That is 2 kills over to DoV Black.
And a great counter engage from the side of Thigh High Demise and Stephen Hawking 69. They do a great job of sort of protecting their top laner. You saw the Syndra roam up early, and they had a pretty quick response. Didn't take so long. They probably know Syndra was already on the way there, and so they opted to rotate to help them. And so that's actually really huge for the Akali to get some of these kills, but Improvise diving onto Gator Crunchy.
Improvise dangerously low, doesn't have that flash. Phoenix Flare dives in, trying to assist his support, but Improvise is dangerously low. We got the Lulu ult coming in. Improvise goes down. Gator Crunchy's able to get the assist. Unfortunately, it is picked up by Lulu. We have more fighting going on. Phoenix Flare goes down. Gator Crunchy will pick up the kill onto Phoenix Flare. And now we have Miyu-chan trying to run away from the danger that is the Lulu Kog'Maw. So a bit of a disaster here for the last few minutes for the side of Exhaulted Gaming. Miyu-chan is not where you want to be in enemy territory.
He's stalling,
the
though.
flash coming in from Wiko Swap. Dawson Creek trying to keep his ADC alive, but unfortunately dangerously low. Miyu-chan avoids the responsibility and is able to make his escape, but now we have a Thigh High Demise trying to dive in. Miyu-chan, and now here comes Bear as well. The stun comes in. Thigh High Demise picks up the kill, and now Rico Suave. Oh boy, where do you go? You don't have any help to turn to. The ghost is popped from Yappy. He's going to try and get a kill, but unfortunately is not able to. The turret will pick up the kill and the execution there for Rico Suave, my dudes.
Overall, I think it was a 2 for 2. Yeah, it was a 2 for 2. Kai'Sa died, Rakan died. Syndra did die, but she got executed. And they were able to take out the Kog'Maw. But what you'll notice, at least at the start of the fight, I'm going to break down the fight in a couple of phases. The first phase was the Kog'Maw Lulu versus the Rakan Amumu. And what you'll notice about that fight is despite that great Rakan engage, a great Amumu engage, like Kog'Maw had the wild growth. He didn't need to flash or anything. He was just simply out damage them when they were trying to face tank into him. And that's what I talked about in the in terms of the draft, is that if you don't have your damage dealers, it gets really rough to try to take out these threats. And then at the end of that, we saw Syndra able to rotate up, help out Kai'Sa, and try to kill Gator Crunchy and Dawson Creek. And the flash forward aggressively from both those members allowed them to really do well in the fight. But Arashi-chan might not get out of this situation.
No, unfortunately, no tower up in top lane. It was used by the Rift Herald in order to take it out, but Yatvij, not knowing where the rest of the team was, Syndra not showing up on the map, decides chunking out the Maokai is enough and will opt to go back to the minion waves. So, all in all, it is a 3,000 gold here for DoV Black. Exalted Gaming will have to make some changes in order to augment their lead. What is the game plan here if you are on the side of Exalted Gaming in order to minimize this gold lead?
I think the best thing you can possibly do is try to put this Kog'Maw in a really bad situation. You need to put him behind because he's really the strength that's going to come out in the late game. And if you don't deal with him now, it's going to get even worse. No, even if you even up the gold leave, maybe top lane or mid lane, that's still not going to really make it so that Kog'Maw gets put enough behind to where he won't just be the single-handed force like carrying the game for DoV Black.
All right, and it looks like we were going to have a Rift Herald fight here as the side of DoV Black is hitting the Rift Herald, but here we go. CC, immune to Olaf. Rico Swab does not have the damage, but finally it's the shutdown coming in from Phoenix Flare. Able to take him out, but unfortunately there is 2 kills back the other way. And now Yadvij is a unit. The Rift Herald is picked up from Improvise, so it is a 2-for-1 so far, but they're able to grab the Rift Herald in response. Arashi-chan now trying to make his escape, but unfortunately a Rakan and a Maokai do not have a lot of damage. They do have a lot of CC and are able to escape to their turret. So 2 kills, but a Rift Herald going over to the opposite side.
I think the Rift, I think it's arguable whether or not the 2 kills for the Rift Herald were good, because the problem is they do give up a lot of map pressure, and they're able to they give a lot of map pressure before this dragon because they are down 1 extra member. But you now have the Rift Herald, which you might be able to break open a tower with, but because platings are down, you're not really going to get too much claw your way back in terms of this advantage of gold. So even though they got the Heralds, you know, the down and member makes it so it's a lot harder to get this vision on the dragon, but it doesn't seem like the side of DoV Black are interested in getting that vision early, and they're able to maintain at least a control ward on this dragon. So despite the fact that they were put at a disadvantage, slight blunder by DoV Black allowing them to still be able to keep their sights on this Drake.
All right, it looks like the Smite will secure the Scuttle Crab here for Stephen Hawking, and Phoenix Flare does get hit by the axe and is slowed, but unfortunately with the rest of his squad there to back him up, they are not chased any further right now. It looks like river control belongs to DoV Black as the dragon is spawning now. A little bit of a dance around. Akali looking for a flag. Phoenix Flare looking for the engage. The Rift Herald is summoned up in the bot lane, so the longer this goes, the more damage that Rift Herald will do for the side of Exalted Gaming. So now we do look like to see who has the engage, and it looks like now it is DoV Black diving in. Phoenix Flare does not have enough CC to keep them at bay. Improvises on the back line, but he has no one there to back him up. That is now 2 kills, make it a 3rd, and unfortunately a 5th as well. That is a 5-4-0 ace. Exalted Gaming is wiped off the map.
They are completely wiped indeed, and you see the issues coming out. The Rakan, a valiant effort. I think Improvise did a really great job of trying to stall out the Kog'Maw and the Lulu, the primary damage dealers. But the only problem is that this Volibear, this Olaf, this Akali, they're not lacking in damage at all in other aspects. So despite you stalling out the main carry that doesn't stall out all the damage and the dive into the back, and the dive that they had, a really great pull of the trigger there. They knew they had to make the play now because, as you mentioned, the Rift Herald was pushing in the bot side. And so they realized that we can't just let this happen. We got to go for the engage. And they pulled the trigger and they made it work out. Really great play coming out from DoV Black here. And it's going to be really hard to claw your way back, especially with the scaling that is on the side of DoV Black. If you are Exalted Gaming, it's going to be rough to make this one a comeback.
The problem with going 3 tanky boys is your damage is just not where it needs to be. Your hyper carries in the Kaisa and your carry in the Rico Suave on Syndra as well just needs to be at another level in order to make up for that damage. So unfortunately, with the Syndra being 1 and 4 and the Kaisa being 1 and 2, they just don't have enough gold. But now Yatvic might be caught out here. 2 tanks might not have enough damage to take out the Volibear. The healing and the TP is coming in from Thigh High Demise. They were going to have to take out this Volibear soon if they want a chance, but unfortunately, here come the boys to back up their Volibear. Arashi-chan down dangerously low. Here comes the rest of the squad in. CC Immune Olaf is trying to take out the entirety of the enemy team. Phoenix Flare down dangerously low. Rico Swap, my dudes, unfortunately also low as well. Stephen Hawking will pick up that kill. It is 3-0. Yatvic gets jumped, but guess what? He has his entire team there to back him up.
And the play wasn't necessarily in terms of like thought idea. We need to make a comeback. We want to take out these members through numbers advantage plays. But you saw on the minimap that the red team, DoV Black, had members already rotating the fight, so they needed to take that Volibear out really quickly. And Volibear has great tools to stall. He can ult out of CC to make it so he can stall fights even longer. He can gain that a little bit extra health to his health bar. And because they were in a Mumu and a Maokai, they just simply didn't have the damage. And so by the time both teams rotated, even though the AD carries were still in mid lane by the time that fight was pretty much over, it didn't really matter. The damage dealers were there for the side of DoV Black, so they're able to come up, back out their team, and didn't lose a single member. Despite that scuffle, looking like it was going to go bad for them.
So you have to look at the build that Volibear is running right now. He is running Tank, Frostfire, and an AD Black Cleaver. What does that mean? It means that A, he is tanky as all heck, and his AD on that Black Cleaver will augment the heals on his W as well. So able to stall out that fight even longer, keep himself alive, keep the split push up, and even if he gets jumped by Phoenix Flare and Arashi-chan, those are two tanks. They are not going to be able to do enough damage to burn through that Frostfire. So well done to Yatbeach to stay alive for the rest of his squad to come and save his life. And now it is almost an 8,000 gold lead for DoV Black. It is going to be a mountain to climb here for Exalted Gaming if they want to get back into this one.
And what I really like most about this sort of mid to late game approach that DoV Black has is that they go for the 1v1 with a Kali and a Volibear on the side lane. And both of these members are way better at side laning than Arashi-chan and Rico Suave, my dudes. Syndra can get easily dove by a Kali and just get one shot. Arashi-chan can get taken out by thigh-high demise. And so no matter which way you kind of respond, it's still pretty disadvantaged for you. And so allowing them to push in these waves to play up towards this maybe Baron, and they put, smartly, the one with TP up on the bot side, and they start rotating members to their Baron. They might want to start it up here pretty soon.
6-0-6, a 600 gold bounty on thigh-high demise. He is lethal on this Akali right now. Going to see if he can keep up this amazing game so far. Yatbeach on the bot side, just applying that pressure. Unfortunately, because he is not going AP Volibear, his auto attacks won't pack as much of a punch. So his split push is not as strong, but still incredibly dangerous on this Volibear. He has had an amazing game so far. And there's just not many answers on the side of Exalted Gaming to the dangers that are on DoV Black right now.
Yeah, and a little bit more to add here is that the Baron is kind of the crucial play that you have right now if you're DoV Black. You want to end this game soon. I mean, there's no real pressure. You're outscaling them, but if you want to end it ideally soon, you want to look to take this Baron or look to stack these dragons. And there's no real way to win the fight. Like, how do you win the fight? You dive the Kog'Maw, he's got wild growth, he's got if you try to dive him, then the people forced to stay behind, like a Syndra, maybe even a Kaisa if she doesn't have Killer Instinct up or doesn't have a good angle, they're left behind at their one shot, and you don't have your damage dealers anymore. So the only real way to kind of stall out this game and keep it back into it is to play for a smite on an objective, maybe a potential steal, and maybe even a potential Baron take to try to walk them off the dragon. I like this play from Exalted Black, and you see the idea is perfect here. They just want to move red team up. They don't want them on this dragon. They're trying to stall this game as long as possible, but they may be caught out in their own jungle here.
Yeah, but here comes the fight. The Volibear dives in, gets the stun off. Phoenix Flare dives dangerously low, and Olaf will take him out. Arashi-chan will follow suit after. It's a double kill over to Gator Crunchy, and guess what? You may have baited the Baron, but now it's time for DoV Black to take what is theirs.
And now you see the pings coming out from Exalted Gaming. They want this Dragon Assault, the Dragon Timers, but honestly, this is not even a worth trade at this point. You're not even close to the soul. You can't play the steal because you don't have a Mumu, so you might as well take the other remaining objective that you know that you could potentially take here and trade, but the trade is not really going to matter. You're not going to benefit too much from it, despite this fact. And because they're on the Dragon, if DoV Black do recognize this, they send all 4 members top lane, and they really want to already push this Baron while the rest of those remaining members are already recalling. So it's going to be really rough for them to defend, especially when they're already taking hits to their towers.
When Suze and Rudon's Hurricane Kog'Maw, those auto attacks are going to be coming insanely fast, ripping these towers down. with the Baron buff as well. Looks like they are going to be able to grab this inhibitor tower, but they don't want to push it any further than that. But the dive in here from Arashi-chan, but he may have bitten off more than he could chew. Is forced to flash out. CC immune. Olaf is dangerously low, but you know how low he gets, the more dangerous he becomes. And now here's the stun coming in from the Volibear. Rico Suave is going down as well, but not quite dead. The dive in will finish him off. That is now a double kill over to Yapvij. Make it a triple. It is a penta angle, perhaps, as Yapvij is continuing on. Unfortunately, that is a quadra kill. Will he try to go for the penta? Unfortunately, he is not able to do it. Phoenix Flare will take him out. That is just rude for the side of Exhaulted Gaming, sorry, not willing to give up that pentakill, but a quadra going over to Yapvij before he's taken out.
I don't know if they can end here. If Amuumu's clearing this wave and stalling it out with the Sunfire Cape, it's a really rough angle, especially since these death timers are actually pretty low just because their team is such a level. And they might want to look to potentially engage here to try to claw their way back. The Stephen Hawking is actually low, and the Kog'Maw Lulu, they don't really have any easier summoners, and Rakan's just trying to stall this out as long as possible while Syndra and Kai'Sa are trying to come
dives
back.
in, and there's a TP coming in as well, and it looks like it's from Arashi-chan. But unfortunately, there's a game pause, so a bit of an action-packed moment here, but it looks like there was a disconnect, so we will be hopping back into the game in just a moment. So it looks like Stephen Hawking disconnected, so we will see what the situation is there.
Unfortunately, the delay here is like right before kind of the final fight of the game. Or the, not necessarily the final fight, but this fight's going to pretty much determine the game at this point. Because if Arashi-chan and Exalted Gaming are able to take out and like win actually a team fight, they don't have a neutral objective, but they can start to take these objective bounties and claw their way back on the gold. But if they're not able to win the fight, then DoV Black's just going to shut the door in. But we do see the unpause here in the fight is now starting up for real.
So Improvise is not able to find the stun, but finally the root comes in from the Maokai. We have a bit of a freeze here again. Did it pause one more time? Not 100% sure what has happened here.
Spectator delay probably messed with the like the pause probably messed with the spectator delay, so it needs to wait a bit. So
yes, that is likely what has happened. Yeah, unfortunately.
But what's so unique about the situation is now we can commentate. Oh, the fight's starting out now.
Oh, the fight's starting back up. Here we go. We got the Kog'Maw brought back up by Dawson Creek, but unfortunately it will not keep him alive for long. But guess what? Here comes the big bad Volibear. He is willing to take out the rest of the team. Thigh High Demise will be able to get another kill onto to Rico Swap by dudes. But they are still outnumbered and perhaps outgunned. Never mind. They are just ripping apart the enemy team. They will be able to get a few trade kills. But what is a few trade kills when your entire team is wiped out? Yapvij is trying to chase the Phoenix Flare, but unfortunately is able to wall hop and make his own escape. Oh, but Yapvij is still pushing on. Stephen Hawking still has the Baron buff. If Yapvij is able to keep the Amumu out of the base, they might be able to push even further. Stephen Hawking not opting in for the end here and instead just taking the tower instead.
A bit of a misplay here. They could have probably ended the game if they just stopped chasing Gil and sent 2 members. But when you have $1 million, making a $1,000 mistake isn't really a big deal. You're kind of so far ahead.
That is such a good. That's a good metaphor. Well done.
Yeah, but it's basically like it's just you can make as many mistakes as you want at this point, as long as you don't give over too many big kills. They did unfortunately get the shutdown from the Kog'Maw onto the members, but what you'll notice about that last team fight is that it did actually look winnable, and my first instinct when I saw Kai'Sa being dived by this Volibear was like, why aren't you ulting away? But I noticed because of the fight, because the death timers were so low, she wasn't actually able to get her ult back up for the crucial fight to maybe turn the game around, but we see Yapvij wanting to maybe engage once again. The Dragon not really spawning soon. All they want to do is just push in these waves and put a lot more pressure on the side of Exalted Gaming.
Yep, they are pushing in this bottom wave with Baron buff no longer a part of their team. Their push is a lot weaker, of course, but still with an over 10k gold advantage. I think that's almost 12, actually. They are just bullying their opponents. 25-9 are the kills right now. Gator Crunchy doesn't even have a mythic, but he don't need it as the Volibear dives in, turns off the turrets. The damage coming out is absolutely insane. Yapvij now might go down, Oh no, he won't. The shield keeps him alive, and finally the turret will be taking him out, but doesn't even matter. That's another ace for the side of DoV Black, and finally we can say I actually got a prediction right. Well done to DoV.
Yep. Really good stuff coming out of Stephen Hawking 69 and DoV Black. Really great job from this squad. The Akali popping off, the Volibear popping off, Kog'Maw providing that consistent damage, and Olaf with that good early game. But I just really want to point out how, you know, a Mumu hands, when you draft too many tanks, you know, don't draft enough dive with those tanks if you're drafting these diving tanks, and you don't have enough damage, and that was the costly mistake that ended up translating into the game. And I want to see how Exhaulted Gaming does readjust their draft in this game too.
Yeah, you mentioned it at the beginning. It's just they did have an easier comp, but just the comp on the other side was better. They picked tanks, 3 of them, into a Kog'Maw, who's known to be a tank like ripper, and Olaf, who has built-in armor penetration with his axes, which is his most spammable ability. So, you know, picking that sort of front line in order to protect their carries just didn't seem to be the most effective method. So well done to DoV Black, as they are able to take a very convincing game 1, and we'll see if their dominance continues on into game 2. However, we do have to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Risen Esports in just a few moments.
Back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang. Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 350 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Scroll in the midst of all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice to escape with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal up, and the call comes back in the Shuriken Flip finds one. Can she find 2? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage retrieval back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still performing extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out simply, tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact fall.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the ace, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9k HP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is a lot has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage, they want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes too strong, but this Twitch is free firing in the backline. Good Death trying to stall time for his 80 carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and this series, it seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor Big Bongo Boys.
The series is taken by Clarity Black.
And that was Risen Unstoppable for the night. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang, Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up,
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v2 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice 200 teeth with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal him, and the call comes back in the circuit, flip finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage to Treble back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a team fight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still performing extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out, simply tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact spawn.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the bullet time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the game, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were...
Alright, welcome back everyone to Risen Esports. We have two excellent teams here waiting to do battle for this game 2 of the day. DoV Black taking game 1 in very dominant fashion, looking to do something similar here. Exhaulted Gaming will be trying just as hard to stop them. We have hopped into draft. Exhaulted Gaming opting to stay on blue side, so still wanting that power of the first pick and opting to give that counter pick over to DoV Black. What has to be different for Exhaulted here in order for them to completely turn this game around and force a game 3?
They got lost in the engaged sauce last time. I think they need
the engaged sauce. Okay,
they need to pick like a lot more damage. Either that or swap out your support with something a lot more defensive, or like an enchanter or something like that. Because you have a Syndra and a Kai'Sa who do good damage, but honestly, Kai'Sa's damage is kind of situational. If like you're pretty far behind or you're a certain level behind, she doesn't do too much damage until very later in the game. She's like known as a late game scaler, but because of how many scalers they've introduced, she's kind of only like mid-tier in terms of scaling now. And you either need a harder scaling ADC with an enchanter support, or you need to provide some damage in your jungler and top lane. They had 3 engaged champions, and they only had 1 damage dealer that could follow them up with the Kai'Sa. and not really a Syndra that fit into that comp identity. So I want them to draft, probably replace one of those tanks, one of those engagers with a more bigger damage dealer, maybe a spicy damaging support. That would be exciting, but you know, we'll see what happens in this game. But
Well, we've already hopped into draft. The 6 bans very, very similar. The same 3 for Exalted Gaming. The only change from DoV Black opting in to ban the Trundle instead of the Aatrox. So a bit of a different look here. They might be looking to build some sort of front line here and just wanted the Trundle out of the way, but Lulu is actually swiped up for Exalted, taking it away from DoV Black, but they opted to still take the Kog'Maw, and instead we'll pair it with Renata Glask, another enchanter that can boost attack speed, so very similar style there. And on the other side, Exalted Gaming will pick up the Jinx and the Ornn, and DoV Black will close off with the Volibear. We'll see if that goes back into the top lane and we'll have a clash of the brothers, or if that will be flexed into the jungle. But that was a very, very quick draft. We haven't really had an opportunity to talk about the picks, so why don't you take a look at these first 3 picks and tell me what you think.
Yep. I swear I wasn't looking at the draft when I told them what they should do, and they ended up doing what I wanted them to do. They picked a better late game hyperscaler with an enchanter, going for more of that style. Maybe Exalted Gaming AD carry is very comfortable with those hyperscalers, so they want to keep him on that sort of role. And I like that the pickup of the Lulu. It forces them to sort of adjust and rethink their bot lane, because now Lulu Kog'Maw is not really a thing. It's now Renata Kog'Maw, which kind of provides the same role, but is not as effective. And now you have a Lulu Jinx, which is also a really great comp. And then they have both engaged on the top side. Both engages, one potentially maybe go top lane. This Volibear, like in the last game, he might also go jungle. I really like both 3 of these starts. I think they're very even. It's going to come down to those 4th and 5th picks on both sides to see who's really going to come out and top in the draft.
Absolutely. So the final 4 bans coming through. It looks like Syndra Nocturne taken out by DoV Black, and Exalted Gaming instead opting not to see the Akali and the Rumbles. So both teams taking out the mid laners from last game. We will not see a repeat of that lane. And it looks like they have gotten rid of the flex and are in fact putting that Volibear in the top, as Vi is locked in here for DoV Black, and we will see what the response is from Exalted.
I think Vi's not a bad pick here. It's pretty good at diving in AD carry when a comp is focused on AD carry. But when you lock in the dive, you kind of reveal what your comp identity is already going to be. You want to, with the Volibear, dive onto this Jinx, and so you can pick really great counter engage, like something like a Lissandra, who can frozen tomb someone like a Vi while she's in, immediately after she gets on top of Jinx, so she can't lay out the damage. She can ulti a Volibear. They have really great counter. They can now really draft great counter engage, so I don't like that reveal pick. I would have liked more something like a Poppy that can help stop these Ornn engages and kind of stunt the enemy team, but also a Wukong locked in. We haven't seen him too often in the jungle lately, but I got to think about this pick more once they lock it in, because I'm not too sure how I feel about that.
So, not Poppy, sorry. Wukong has fallen a bit out of the meta here, so a bit curious to see the Monkey King locked in here. But what I am excited about, we don't have 3 tanks on the side of Exalted Gaming, so we do have some damage dealers. They aren't just putting all their chips in one basket, so they do have multiple carry options here. Lulu able to buff them up, tons of tankiness and engage from the Ornn. And it is responded to from DoV Black by the Sylas, a very, I think he's the 2nd most picked champion in Worlds right now. Very, very powerful. Tons of powerful ults to steal on the enemy team. So I think that is a very, very good counter pick here from DoV Black.
Interestingly, the Sylas I think is an amazing, impeccable pick here. The Lulu ulti is great with Sylas because it allows you to survive more in terms of these engages, and if you're getting engaged on, you can deal with that. The Lissandra Frozen Tomb has the ability to insta-lockdown something like a Jinx or keep himself alive. He can take the Wukong ulti, which is very powerful. Even like an Ornn ulti for engage, Sylas has a lot of options. So depending on the game state and what he needs to provide for his team, he's a very flexible pick, and no matter what he picks, he's going to be good. And looking at sort of the draft in the 4-5, how I said this was crucial, both have a really good pick. Lissandra for Exalted Gaming, Sylas for DoV Black, but they have sort of a more suspect pick from the Vi and the Wukong. But I would actually defend the Wukong here. I think the Wukong is probably a pretty good decision. I think it's pretty good into Renata, because when you're diving with something like a Wukong, you have 2 ultis. You can dive in, use the ulti, and usually that will force a response from Renata to, hey, I gotta bail out my person early so they don't get bursted. And so either that's going to be bailing out her or her Kog'Maw, and then you can just decide which target is not bailed out. Now let me use my second ulti and the rest of my team to help me out and one-shot the enemy. So I think Exalted Gaming honestly have a pretty big advantage in the draft here.
I'm actually a fan of DoV Black. I think the Sylas is an amazing pick because you want your Lulu to protect your ADC? Well, guess what? I will protect the ADC myself. I will take the Lulu ultimate, keep that Kog'Maw alive. We saw how impactful it was in the last game, so snatched up yet again for DoV Black. I put my stock in them last game, and it paid off for the first time this season. So I think I gotta stick by my boys at DoV Black. I am sticking with them, I think, for this draft as well.
I definitely don't think that's... I think you could argue both sides here, and it's kind of rare how we'd had two drafts that were both pretty even, and I think it's because both team comps kind of have this similar identity of we have really strong, we have a hyperscaling AD carry, we have like an enchanter support, we have a tank with some sort of a gauge, we have someone who can dive on the enemy team very easily and effectively, but the mid lane is really where it kind of differs here, and Lissandra is a bit more of the defensive style that you like to see. You can definitely ult the Kog'Maw. You can play defensive. You can ult up the main engagers in the dive. That's why I really like Lissandra as a champion, because she's very flexible into any draft. She's not the best in terms of solo queue because she is more that supportive style, but it allows her to, no matter what the game state is, really to be flexible. And I think that's also what the Sylas provides with the massive amounts of ults he can steal. Do you need to engage? Bam, you have it. Do you need is he super fed and he needs more health to sustain himself in these fights because he's being focused? Bam, Lulu. Does he need great engage? Or does he need like sticking on top of power? Then you take the Wukong. Both mid laners are very flexible, but in a lot of different ways. It's really hard to see which one is going to come out on top here. But I do think that the Renata is a really great pick, though. I'm with Kog'Maw. You would normally pair him with an enchanter, but in this case they pair him with Renata, which is also enchanter. But you have to like question and ask yourself, like, could there have been a better enchanter here? And honestly, in my opinion, I don't think that's the case. I think Renata is really great with Kog'Maw, allows him to survive in this lane phase, and especially since Wukong can play very aggressively in the early game, it ended up working out pretty well despite it being picked very early.
Absolutely, and I do want to draw a bit more attention now to the top lane matchup. We did see Yatvij drop the first blood and then proceed to stomp the game. So we have the big brothers in the top lane. We got a very lore-heavy matchup here. Ornn and the Volibear. It's not generally a lane that you would think would receive a lot of action, but we saw how both these top laners played last time. You have to expect there would be similar sort of action here. What do you think needs to happen from both of these guys in order to help their team win?
I think, honestly, for me personally, seeing this topside matchup last time, we had a Volibear versus a Maokai, and the Volibear, sort of messed up a little bit in the early game and allowed Maokai to really have this breathing room to make him still useful in the later portions of the game. But even if you stop Ornn, it's going to be really hard to do anything because he's very similar. He does provide a lot of engage in CC like a Maokai would, but he also is giving those stats to his team. So honestly, for this Ornn, it's all about surviving. And honestly, even if he goes down like 0-2, 0-3, I still think he'll provide a lot more value than a Volibear will.
Okay, so actually you're favoring Arashi-chan then in this matchup here. Just look to go even. Trying to die for farm is not really the case. Just play safe, pick up the farm where you can. Yatvij will not have as much of an impact. You say that even despite the quadra kill that he had last time and then diving into the fountain for the penta. Fortunately, couldn't pick it up there, but... yeah, so I'm actually I'm throwing my lot in with Yatvij. We saw him pilot this champion very effectively last game. I actually think, brushing off that first blood that he did give up, he has another engage-heavy jungler to help him with ganks. So I actually think that he will be an effective top laner here once again. I'm looking for some exciting plays out of him.
Yeah, and if you're a spectator looking at these fights, and we're breaking them down midway through, and we'll break them down after, but if you're looking at these fights specifically while they're happening, you have to look out for this Vi ult. That is what is going to change the game, and the response from Exalted Gaming is what's going to change the game. Because Vi is their primary guaranteed engage with that ulti. But you'll notice that the response to it is more interesting. If Vi ults in, Lulu can wild growth whoever Vi gets on top of, so she can't lay that damage too much. So if Lulu has wild growth up, it's really good. Lissandra can ulti as a response to the Vi in order to keep her Jinx alive. And it's about Exalted Gaming knowing to save at least one of their major cooldowns / resources to keep the Jinx alive. Because if they don't, look at their comp. They lack a lot of damage. Lissandra can provide a little bit, Wukong can provide like a little bit, but Ornn and Lulu not going to provide much in the end. So if this Jinx does get burst down, it's a little bit rougher to try to get something. As opposed to DoV's Black comp. If Kog'Maw dies, you have Bully Bear, Vi, Sylas. All these champs can put in a lot of work in order to like make something happen. So despite Exalted Gaming leaning more into a style that has a little bit more damage and you have more protection for your damage, DoV Black still has their flexible style of, hey, we're going to draft a lot more damage than you are, so we can be flexible depending on the game state, but we might not be as strong team fighting. If Exalted Gaming can make it to the late game team fighting, I think they got a stronger comp.
Okay, so we are going to have to hop to a quick break for the spectator delay, but before we do that, really quickly, your prediction for this game, because we have to do that once again.
Oh my god, I kind of want to flip a coin again, but I don't think I will. If I want to, I think if I was Miyu Chen, I would definitely be like, I want the Jinx comp. But because I need to look at it as like a game as a whole, like, and knowing that I'm not in the player's perspective, I would honestly say DoV Black has the better comp. And I'm going to predict that.
Okay, I'm also predicting DoV Black because, like I said, they actually won me a prediction for the first time ever. I gotta stick with them for this one. So we will be hopping to a quick break here as we wait for the spectator delay to finish. We'll be right back with Game 2 between DoV Black and Exalted Gaming in just a moment.
Back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang, Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Scroll in the midst of all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice to his teeth with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal up, and they call comes back in the Shuriken flip, finds one, can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage to Tree back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still performing extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out simply, tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact spawn.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the lead, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the big bongo boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is...
All right, welcome back to Game 2 between DoV Black and Exhaulted Gaming. Slatty, how excited are you for Game 2?
I'm actually really excited. I think both comps are like very well balanced, and so it's going to be up to the actual individual game. And oftentimes you see like LCS analysts, not LCS analysts, because LCS analysts are high on copium all the time. But I mean, like normal like analysts like LS and like others often like equate draft to an automatic win. So seeing like both drafts be pretty even is pretty exciting to watch. But I'm gonna point out something real quick and make a quick call. This Kog'Maw running Ghost, I don't like it.
I actually do. When I play ADC, I love to rush Ghost. It makes sticking on enemy carries in teamfights so much easier. It is not a lane summoner spell at all. It's primarily for those team fights.
I think it's just going to be really rough. I think you need that cleanse because something like a Lulu Polymorph or a Lissandra W will be extremely hard to deal with.
With a Lissandra on the other team, I will give it to you. Maybe that wasn't the best call, but generally, I actually do like the Ghost. So maybe...
yeah. I can definitely see the Ghost now, like that I'm looking at more because it's really only that Lissandra. But Lissandra's such a big factor. Like, it's hard to weigh, like, how a single individual player... Because if he runs Ghost and Lissandra doesn't focus on him, then it's just a complete, you know, hindsight misplay. But, you know, when you're getting into the game, I don't think you want to run, like, especially... But you're up a game, you can take those risks. It's debatable. Personally, I would run the cleanse in this scenario if I were the Kog'Maw, but I can respect this decision to use Ghost now.
And as we can see, and we did predict this at the beginning, the burly boys of top lane are just smacking each other something silly. So unfortunately, no kills so far, but very chunked out for the side of Arashi-chan. So definitely looking to hopefully gain some health back with those grasp procs and keep himself in the lane here. He also is running Biscuit, so able to sustain a bit more into the fight-heavy mindset that is his brother Volibear. So hopefully he's going to be able to withstand the trading here, but opposite looks like, or sorry, no, a similar side on both junglers. Both of them are pathing up towards top lane, but Vi opting for the quick 3 camp and looking to gank mid immediately. We'll see if there is going to be anything here, but unfortunately does not look like it. She does walk away.
Vi, you could question her pathing, namely because the Lissandra is actually an extremely vulnerable champion if she doesn't have level 3. Because oftentimes Lissandra, I would assume, at least when I play Lissandra, I usually take Q and then W and not really E. So I can have that little bit of extra wave clear and make it so it's hard to stick on me, but we got a fight coming out on the top side.
So Phoenix Flare able to just yoink away his own blue buff. He does have to flash for it, so a bit of a win here, I would say, for the side of DoV Black, as they're able to get a free summoner spell out of the jungler, but not able to take away that blue buff from him.
Mm-hmm. And I was just saying before, like the Vi's pretty effective at level 2 ganking, so if you can catch the Lissandra before she's able to get that level 3, a transition gank from your initial blue straight through mid onto your top side could be very effective, but it looks like they opt to go for a specific call to invade the top side, which I really like. Putting behind the Wukong early definitely makes it a lot more scary to gank, especially if Vi is able to have a correct read on Wukong's pathing. I do think the 3v3 bot side is in the favor of DoV Black here, but an actual trade's happening.
Oh yes, there's a lot of fighting going on in top lane. Arashi-chan might get his second first blood. He does have the flash and he will do it. Arashi-chan, again, the first blood king of this series, takes out Yatvij.
Yeah, and same old story, same old song and dance. The minions putting in work there, allowing him to make what would otherwise be a worse fight. And the flash, the Q to finish it off. Really great stuff. I didn't expect him to do that much damage, if I'm going to be entirely honest. The Ornn Q dealing a lot. But we do know Ornn, because his percent max health with a lot of his abilities, he can actually really brawl out with these top lane fighters when other tanks would not be able to.
All right, and here is my own personal analysis right now. Vi not touching her topside camps, which as a jungler hurts me deeply. That is not something you want to do, but unfortunately we do have a fight going on here. There's the dive in from Stephen Hawking, the flash away from Improvise. Gator Crunchy is down dangerously low, does have the bailout on him, but unfortunately is now expired. And Dawson Creek has the flash away to keep himself safe. Phoenix Flare does not have that flash as he did cost it earlier, but Stephen Hawking does not have the dash in, but Thigh High Demise with his own flash. A lot of summoner spells used in the bot lane, and only one kill given over to Thigh High Demise.
And a little bit of uncoordination from the side of Exalt Gaming. That was a fight that they didn't want to take initially because Vi came in, she wanted to engage with the Q, and they were like, oh, let's back up. But they saw that they were winning, so they went in, they blew a bunch of summoners and flash, but the only problem with re-engaging, especially with a fight you didn't take, is you forgot to calculate the fact that your Lissandra is coming from your base and their Sylas is on the way. You cannot go for these bot side fights that you think might drag out for a long time if your mid laner is in base, so bit of a misplay coming out from Exalt Gaming.
And I feel like I'm just flaming Stephen Hawking at this point, but another thing, as a jungler, 6 minutes out of the map, he has not backed once. You do not have the same amount of impact that you could have if you had more items in your inventory, obviously. So hopefully he's going to be able to get a back off here soon, but if you want to know where the action should be for the next few minutes, just take a look at the summoner spells on all 4 of the bot laners. All of them have been used. If that is not an indication of where you should be focusing your ganks, I don't know what is.
And, interestingly, there was a massive wave pushing. And initially I was scared because Kog'Maw and Renata caught it, but they don't look like they want to freeze that and want to take that much damage, and they opt to just push this in right here and make it try to bounce back. They're canceling the bases. Really smart, good stuff coming out here from the bot lane of DoV Black here. They want to push this in to make it bounce, but I don't think they're actually going to get it in time, which could spell trouble for them, and they could potentially found themselves in a gank angle now.
Yes, unfortunate there, but they're not able to get the wave all the way in, but it does look like they are going to be able to rotate to this early objective. So like last time, DoV Black putting an early emphasis on these first objectives in the first dragon and the first herald. So looks like they're going to be able to pick up this dragon no problem and be able to get back into their lane without too much trouble.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of the other series we've witnessed, another dragon is taken on earlier than the Rift Herald to spawn, but because it was taken so near Rift Heralds, it doesn't look like DoV Black want to delegate their resources, especially since they spent most of their vision on this bot side. So I don't see either team really going for it, but
but guess what? Here come all of the boys to try and take out Thigh High Demise. He does not have his flash, but he's able to heal up. Will that keep him alive? Thigh High Demise, a 1v3 outplay, keeps himself alive in mid lane.
Outplay, arguable. More like a misplay coming out from Rico Suave, my dudes. He played that probably.
If you don't take advantage of other people's mistakes, you cannot outplay.
That's very fair enough, but it was a very costly mistake. He ultied while Ornn was ulting, and while the rest of his team were using those major cooldowns, while Sylas was still in the frozen tomb. He was stuck in there. He wasn't healing. He was just by himself. That allows him to get his cooldowns back, and that prevents the rest of his team from putting down the necessary damage, so it allows him to stall himself out and not die despite them sending 3 members to kill 1.
It was Sylas had stolen Lissandra's ult and used it on himself.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened.
All the viewers at home. My bad. I thought that was a Lissandra ulti.
No, it was Lissandra ulti used by Sylas, but here we go. Now in bot lane, they don't know Phoenix Flare is here. He dives in, has the Cyclone, will be able to take out Phoenix Flare, but it will be a trade kill on the other side. As Stephen Hawking will be able to take him out. Dawson Creek does not have the flash. Will he be able to get away from the Monkey King? No, he will not. It's a double kill picked up here by Phoenix Flare, but here comes Thigh High Demise. He does have the robe, and Rico Suave does not, but it's a triple kill going over to Phoenix Flare as he is able to make it a winning trade here for the side of Exalted Gaming. Well done to him with the surprise.
Really crucial. Phoenix Flare plays that fight beautifully in all aspects. Engages at the right time. He ensures that Kog'Maw does not get the bailout in time. And that is really, really amazingly well done. Especially since in those situations, because Sylas is rotating down and Lissandra has TP, you would normally call for your mid laner to TP. But because you played the fight so well, he allows Lissandra to continue to amount a CS lead and a plate lead despite being down in these kills. So
that ability to win that team fight allows the rest of his team on the map to alleviate that pressure and come back in the gold.
Yep, so in the 3v4 fight, they actually make it a 3-for-2 trade. So well done to Phoenix Flare as he's able, to pick up all three of those kills for his team. And like we mentioned last time, now that they have more avenues of carry potentials, their winning condition is not just one thing, and if that fails, your entire comp falls apart. They have multiple avenues to carry here, and it looks like Phoenix Flare will be the one.
And Wukong, was a little skeptical in terms of draft phase, but he's definitely showing up on the stage here. And what I kind of want to point the viewers' attention to is this Rift Herald. Which team really is going to vie to take it in this early game? Because both junglers are sent up, but they're not really sending their bot lane up. Last time we had a Herald fight, we saw Rakan rotating up, and which actually helped out Arari-chan and Exalt Gaming able to grab the Rift Herald despite the fact that they lost more members. So I think that because they're not rotating, neither team really wants it, but I think they could swing a fight if they do rotate up a support.
Absolutely. You do have to keep in mind now, at 11 minutes, as time goes further on, the Rift Herald becomes less and less valuable as you're not going to be able to drop those plates after a certain amount of time. So I think without the early emphasis onto the Rift Herald, it might just be that both these teams decide to give. But there's a bit of a misplay here from Yappy, just he's not able to get the shield to negate the tower damage and takes an unfavorable trade against Arashi-chan.
Bit more action in the mid lane here, though. Riku's dude's disengaging a little bit. He's trying to do his best there. And he does it pretty successfully. I mean, the Lissandra...
Oh, but he's going back in. He's going to be able to, unfortunately, has to bait out the ult from Rico Suave. We also got some action going up here in the top lane. Arashi-chan able to dash out. We do have a Rift Herald being snuck away from Stephen Hawking. You will only have 2 minutes to drop it. Oh, but yeah, he might have bitten off more than he could chew, but does get the shield and the heal to help him survive. Now we'll dive under the tower, turns it off. The knock-up is there, but Yavij, now the tower turns back on. Arashi-chan, his second solo kill in this lane, and also Arashi-chan down below, action going at both ends of the rift, and both will go in the favor of Exalted Gaming.
And now Exalted Gaming looking to take this dragon here, and Thai had to might want to look for the angle with the Sandra ult, but gets spotted out, ups and back off. Great play coming out from Arashi-chan and Yatovich. Honestly, Yatovich went down, but it was really close. You saw Arashi-chan pop the call, the Forge God wants to go for the kill, but Yatovich knows that if that Ornn's pretty accurate with his ulti, it's not going to really matter how far he runs, and so he opts to stun him in the middle of the ulti, and then tries to turn on him. Oh, but we see some fighting
Stephen
here.
Hawking is forced to flash away, but it will keep himself alive. The ult from Improvise used not to save his carry, but instead used it for the knockup. So a bit of a creative use of the ultimate there, but unfortunately not able to pick up that kill.
Yeah, and Jinx does a great job of flashing forward in that last play that we saw her eventually pick up the kill. And getting those early kills are pretty big for the Jinx. Jinx really struggles when she doesn't have the team assisting her with shenanigans. But we see
here comes the Vi ultimate. High Demise is there as well. The ult coming in from Renata Glass turns Exalted Gaming on each other. You also got the bailout. Stephen Hawking burns down, but he's not going to be able to get a kill in time. It's a 1-for-1 so far in the mid lane. And meanwhile, in top, it is a nightmare here for Volibear as he is solo killed for the third time. But meanwhile, in mid lane, they're able to pick up a second kill. So all in all, it's a 2-for-2 for both teams.
Looks like calling down a ram to shove into your enemies is better than summoning lightning. This Ornn is putting in so much work in the top side. Despite it normally being an unfavored matchup, he is ahead not only in CS, but 3 kills. And he's outscaling him. It's a really great matchup for Arashi-chan, and he's doing a really great job not only keeping it even, but even pushing himself ahead. And while these fights are chaotic, he is a very consistent factor.
Yeah, that Bramble Vest doing work, preventing the incredible amount of healing that Volibear does have in an extended fight. So well done to Arashi-chan, picking up a third solo kill. That is just a top laner's worst nightmare as it just gets worse and worse. There's it looked like a fat-fingered flash there from Thigh High Demise, so Yeah, we can see the question mark pigs coming out already, so I believe that was a fat figure, so a bit unfortunate as that summoner goes on cooldown. Meanwhile, the Rift Herald will be summoned up here in the bot lane. Like we mentioned earlier, it is now a minute too late. Not going to be able to get as much gold as you would like. It will get the charge off, but no plates.
Yep. And I don't really like the decision. I don't know the exact timer on the Rift Herald, but you probably want to place it somewhere else. Maybe you want to draw down someone like a Lissandra and then secretly rotate upwards, spawn on the Rift Herald up there. Maybe try to break them in a mid turret, but just kind of placing it there as a last resort. You're not really going to get too much value out of it. You can summon it in a very interesting spot, but a little bit of a back and forth here.
There are 5 members down here for the side of DoV Black, and it looks like they are just looking to push these members of Exalted Gaming off of this turret, and it looks like they will be able to grab the first turret of the game, so a bit of an influx of gold here. One interesting stat that I always value as a jungler, the team who breaks the first turret has a 71% chance to win the game. So that is a stat for all of y'all out there. It's why I put so much emphasis on the Rift Herald. If you break that first turret, you just open up so many avenues on the map for your team. So looking forward to seeing if Exalted Gaming can break that stat and win the game despite giving up that first turret.
And they gave up their first turret, but they also got a turret on the top side for the Ornn. And the great part about breaking over the top turret when you got a tank engager is that he doesn't really mind when the lane phase is over. He loves it when it's gone so he can force these team fights. But if Volibear has to keep respawning topside, he can't be there. And even if he's in those 5v5 scenarios, Ornn provides a lot more value. So they do take the tower on the bot side, but I think honestly it's more worth that Arashi-chan was able to take down that topside tower. A lot of the gold is being funneled into him, which does suck when you're only 2k down, but he's coming down to fight.
Oh boy, that is not where you want to be. Gator Crunchy goes down. Phoenix Flare is taking a lot from this tower, and he will go down. So a bit of a blunder there from the side of Phoenix Flare, but they will be able to still get both those kills.
And I don't really like their decision to you wipe their bot lane. You know their jungler's probably most likely top side. You might as well just push in and take this second tower, get more value out of it, get more control in the enemy's jungle. And we see Arashi-chan using this time valuably. He does take this bot side, but it only makes the trade sort of even when you could have definitely pushed it a lot further and get your gold lead even more.
Ornn is one of the most powerful picks in my opinion. He is the true assassin, tank, mage, frontline bruiser. He could fill whatever role you need, and he is looking like he's the main carry almost on this side. 3-0-1, just absolutely putting on the lane kingdom up in top, and they are going to be able to take this dragon, putting themselves ahead. Exalted Gaming look to be in control at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and they want to keep it that way. And especially since their comp is such a great 5v5 control, we want to stay as a 5-man unit comp. It's a lot easier to execute rather than something like COD Black's comp. And so I think going for this 5v5 kind of style does benefit, especially if you're ahead and look to grab the Rift Heralds. And it looks like they're all wanting to fight here.
Oh, and it looks like Renata Glask is not going to be able to make it out of this one. The pick from Rico Swab is perfect. The Jinx follows up with the Chompers, and they will take out the support. That is now the 3rd turret to fall. They are going to drop this Rift Herald. They are looking to do some real damage here to the side of DoV Black.
Doing a good job. Great engagement from Lissandra. You can see just the lockup potential that she has. The bailout not going to keep the Renata alive. And they're just going to continue to push in. I think they look to take this inhibitor, and then they, get this vision on the Baron. But it looks like they want to end right here and right now.
I don't think they'll have the tools to end, but there are only 3 members to defend here. The Renata ult comes through, does hit 4 members, improvises dangerously low, will go down. Gator Crutch is able to pick up the first kill, but now Stephen Hawking does have the bailout auto, but unfortunately that is not going to save your life. Mingyu Chan is unstoppable. Now the TP is coming through. It looks like there is a few kills picked up here as the turrets are doing work. The TP comes in from Yatvij, but unfortunately they will make their escape. Is that worth though in the end, as 2 kills are picked up on the other side?
And there's 2 kills picked up. You know, it's actually a pretty even trade in terms of like kills, I guess you could say, in the mid lane. But what you notice is that Silas made the call to push another tower, and he's able to take out actually another tower on the bot side. This can be very crucial. When you have more towers taken down, you're allowed to push that wave out further, and with a neutral objective like Baron spawning soon, if they can continue to put pressure and push that in, that forces a member down there, and especially since Exalted Gaming don't have a TP. No matter what member they send, if DoB Black forces the Baron, they're gonna be down in numbers. So overall, really great response play from Thigh High Demise. Maybe worked out a little bit better than even he expected.
Here is what worries me for the side of Exalted Gaming. They are ahead, but it is only 3,000 gold, and they have opened an inhibitor for the Kog'Maw to AFK farm for the next few minutes. As like you mentioned, they don't have any TPs. They can't really rotate to this objective. So what does that mean? With mid lane constantly pushing in, this is just free farm for the Kog'Maw, and that is not something that you want to give up. So I think breaking the inhibitor this early, especially when you don't have any pushing power, is dangerous. But Thigh High Demise, he wants a piece of Rico's swap. Will have to force out the ult on himself. The Jinx rocket goes wide, but now it's Thigh High Demise turning the tables, gets the Lissandra ult onto him. It will cost him his life, but he's able to pick up that solo kill onto Rico Swap.
It's a 1-for-1, but honestly, I think if I'm Exalted Gaming, I say let's just start the Baron. We want to force them out, or we're gonna engage right here. I think both calls are really great. The Wukong maybe going over the wall here.
Oh, the choppers will snag the jungler, and he will go down. That is 2 free kills, just handing it over on a silver platter. And what does that mean? Man, this Baron looks very juicy right now.
Yeah, Thigh High Demise was the primary carry from DoV Black, and so now that they know they took them out, they opt to go for let's go over this wall and let's go for this play. They get those kills necessary to easily take this Baron, and despite the misplay on the inhibitor, when you have Baron, them not having an inhibitor is really a thing of beauty, because you get the super buffed up minions. And I think if you when you have the inhibitor up, if you can't end the game right here, might be a little bit of an issue, especially with you talked about earlier, this Kog'Maw scaling up, but it looks like they don't even want to back. A little bit of a greedy play here to not even want to buy any more items. They want to just look to maximize this Baron timer as much as possible.
And you have to look at that 8-1-5. Jinx Miyu-chan is the carry here. Has the upgraded Kraken Slayer. I do not know what its name is, so please don't even ask me. But
Wormfire's Revenge or something? Wait. Well,
I don't think it has revenge in it. But this is a very, very dangerous Jinx right now. It's a Worm Fallen Sacrifice. Thank you, production. It is Worm Fallen Sacrifice, the upgraded Ornn, Kraken Slayer on the Jinx already. Phantom Dancer second. This is going to be just dishing out so much damage for the side of Exalted Gaming. That has to be your main target, but here we go. We got the Ornn Horn. We got double Ornn Horns coming in. I can't tell which one is which. We already got a shutdown now going over to Gator Crunchy. Or actually, Chad Falls as well. What the heck has happened? The fight has gone completely wrong for Exalted Gaming. Thigh High Demise will able to pick up another kill as well. Stephen Hawking will pick that up. All of a sudden, what the heck? This has turned completely on its head.
They were able to get through the initial gauge and were able to zone out the Jinx. The Jinx just didn't output enough damage in time, and that's the problem. When you have a Jinx and a Lissandra, your burst damage is severely lacking, but burst damage is definitely not something that DoB Black is lacking in their team comp. And saying they know what makes their team comp great, and they go for the initial burst on 2 members, and because they're able to get them before the enemy team disengages, they're able to split up the enemy team comp and just win the fight solidly, and they're able to stall out and make it so it doesn't go to soul point.
That is a huge turn for this side of DoV Black. If you are a DoV Black fan, you are looking for more fights like that. Especially, you can see this Volibear not opting in for any damage quite yet. He does have a couple long swords in the inventory now, but opting just for that tank. He is a CC bot at this point, not able to do much else. But Thigh High Demise had a wonderful game on Akali in Game 1. We can see him making an impact here on the Sylas in Game 2. Gator Crunchy, you have to just keep it wide. Kog'Maw will output tons of damage no matter what, so well done to him. Has picked up the Kraken Slayer as well. He does not get upgraded, of course. We don't need to figure out that again, but still have some Baroned up minions here. We'll see if they're able to defend.
What I would specifically like to point out here is we are both talking about these carries, but it looks like
Unfortunately, I do have to interrupt you there as the Volibear just walks into the enemy team. They are going berserk, though. We do have Stephen Hawking trying to fight the Miyu Chad, but what can you do against a Jinx that is this fed? You can do nothing but die. Thigh High Demise tries to dive in, but that just spells his doom as Jinx is just ripping this team apart.
Okay, I'm so glad you interrupted me because I was about to say that it is heavily favored in the next side for DoV Black because the Jinx didn't have Flash and the DoV Black team comp is really hard to deal with without a Flash on your side. But they just shut me up before I even have to say anything.
Needs Flash when you have Lulu on your team. Miyu-chan's kept alive through the shield. Oh, but the hook coming in from Dawson Creek might spell his doom, but what am I saying? The peel there is there as well. And it is just absolutely just hard, so difficult for the side of DoV Black to actually get onto this Jinx, even though she doesn't have Flash. So, well done from Improvise, keeping his ADC alive.
Yeah, Improvise does a good job at using the Wild Growth and the Jinx keeping her alive when the Stephen Hawking was diving in. But the problem that I really saw was Stephen Hawking was diving in by himself with no member in sight. You might have been able to zone out the Jinx, but the rest of the team still were able to hold their own. This Wukong very fed. This Ornn very fed as well. They do not lack damage, especially since they're so fed in this sort of late game scenario, despite them being more of like these lackluster damage as you're sort of used to. So it was a very discombobulated fight for DoV Black, and that's ultimately why they lost. And they spent so much to try to win that fight. And now, with the Dragon going to be spawning pretty soon, and with the Baron going to be spawning pretty soon as well, it's going to be looking real hard for Gator Crunchy and the rest of the squad to make any sort of comeback.
Absolutely. It looks like with two inhibitors broken, it's just going to be a bit of a farm simulator here for the next while. 5K down. They do not want to engage in any of these fights. They still don't have objective bounties, as it was just that last fight that really started to spiral their lead, as it was, I believe, only 2K before that. But we have Thigh High Demise with the Ornhart, gets a knock up onto 4. Yappy now dives in, but he is just paper to this Jinx, so he will go down first. Oh, I might have eaten my words as he is able to just barely walk away. But Miyu-chan is legendary as he is able to just rip apart the team. The rocket goes through, and it is an ace for Exhaulted Gaming.
This 80 carry Miyu-chan, the 13-1-7. God, he is shredded through these carries. And despite that fight looking initially so bad with the Ornn engage, he was able to free fire on the front lane. And like you said, he was outputting so much damage and was just able to put his team on the back. This series is definitely going to be a battle between the 80 carries in this third game. And we are pushed to that third game I was just talking about. Excited to see you there.
All right, we are not done with this matchup. Exalted Gaming will not go quietly into the night. They are here to fight and looking to get 2 in a row against DoV Black. This is exciting. We can see Miyu-chan just took over the game. Well done to Improvise, keeping his ADC alive in all of those fights. We will be going to a quick break here, but we will be right back with some more League of Legends action. Don't go anywhere.
To the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang. Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solo.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v2 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before he's last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice 200 Keep with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal up. And they call comes back in the circuit, flip finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange applies is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage to Treble back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still
find
performing
Akali.
extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out simply, tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact fall.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the
don't.
and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9k HP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage. They want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes too strong, but this Twitch is free firing in the backline. Good Death trying to stall time for his 80 carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and this series. It seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor Big Bongo Boys.
The series is taken by Clarity Black.
And that was Risen Unstoppable for the night. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a
Wake
bang,
up.
Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up, come
But
on,
I
come
gotta
on.
say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're all, actually, they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v2 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before he's last. Dies, and Chicken Fried Rice 200 Keep with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal up. And they call comes back in the circuit, flip finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange applies is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage to Treble back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still
find
performing
Akali.
extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out simply, tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact fall.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the
don't.
and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT!
Back to Game 3 between DoV Black and Exhaulted Gaming. We have an exciting Game 3 ahead of us. Slatty, how you doing over there? You still functioning?
I'm doing great. You know, having a good time. Excited for this third game, especially. Even drafts, first 2 games, and it was just an Exalted Gaming really made the comeback here. They did a really great job. And I think that adaptability and the adjustability in these games is really important, especially since we don't play that best of 1 like some other leagues do. We play a best of 3 format. So definitely they got the momentum going into the Game 3. Let's see if they can translate it.
All right, we are going to be hopping into draft pretty soon. Okay, so if we're looking at DoV Black, who did fall to Exalted Gaming last one, what do they need to do in order to overcome the problems of last game and take the win in the series?
Let me see I'm trying to remember like where it all fell apart last time. I think it was just team fightings that went a lot better. I think it was that initial. That last game was a blur because it felt like just Exalted Game just started like randomly winning. Like it didn't feel like a specific point that I like remember a specific turning point. I feel like they just generally beat them in lane. And oh no, it was the Ornn. Very effective Ornn. I think they should ban out the Ornn. I think that's one of my major suggestions I would have to give them because I do think that Ornn was providing a lot of value for that team comp, and he did go 3-0. So putting him on a tank that he's a little bit left comfortable with will allow them to maybe make an early advantage for this Volibear. And I don't think they actually picked Volibear here because I don't think he's too strong top lane, and he's not really gaining the lead that they kind of hoped he would.
Absolutely. Like it was something that worked for them in game 1. So we'll see if they're kind of looking for a similar kind of style, but unfortunately it didn't work, and they've already banned out the Ornn. They do not want to see that again. So maybe they are going to the Volibear again and just don't want that matchup.
We will have to see. Yeah, banning the Ornn out, a smart decision. You know, I wonder where that came from. But I do think the Ornn is a great ban here, and I like the Kog'Maw ban as well. I think putting people on like just 80k they're uncomfortable, especially since like before I got in the game, I got to see their mastery. That Jinx had 400k mastery, that Kog'Maw had 400k as well. And they banned the Lulu to try to get them off of these enchanter styles, but you know, DoV Black might just pick the Renata or even a Seraphine. It's a great flexibility. You can pick a mid or support. I think it's likely going to go support. Maybe even 80 carry, but with a late game hyperscale plus a Seraphine, it could be a very effective combo.
Absolutely. So Seraphine is one of the most annoying, like, I don't even have words for it. Like, it's just one of those champions that you just feel like sometimes you just really can't play into. So, and then when it's on your team, you feel amazing. So I think this is a very good first pick here for DoV Black. We'll see what the response is. It looks like it's going to be a Sivir, followed up with, give me 1 second here. And another very good thing about the Seraphine, it can be double flexed or triple flexed as well. It can go into the mid lane, it can be an ADC, and it can be a support as well. So that is also a very powerful first pick here for DoV Black. But they are going to respond with a Sivir, and it looks like a Sona as well in the bot lane.
I really like the Sivir pick here. A lot of what makes Seraphine's Encore, her ultimate, so effective in team fights is you have someone who is directly hitting the front line, and when you Encore through them, it ends up hitting the back line. But if you have a Sivir who's aware of the situation in that scenario, that Encore is way less effective because she can just spell shield it. She gets a little bit of health back, and I'm pretty sure she gets some movement speed from her passive. I think that's when you cast abilities or auto attack. But it really does help out the Sivir that she has a spell shield against Seraphine, and Misfortune Seraphine locked in a tried and true combo, and the Maokai to round out the blue side first 3 pick draft.
So once again, we look at Worlds, Misfortune Maokai, such prevalent picks in the meta right now. So I think those are 2 very good pickups here for DoV Black, as they're just 2 of the most powerful champions in the meta right now. And ooh, this would be a bit unique. Yes, I have not seen this in competitive in a very long time. It is the Cho'Gath picked up here for Exalted Gaming.
I really like the Cho'Gath pick. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I think it's really good. Cho'Gath's like a really good against really immobile AD carries, and Misfortune and Seraphine definitely are in that category of immobility. They have a really hard time dealing with something like a big AoE ability that they can't dodge out of. So it allows them to get backline access and carry, but also Cho'Gath, a very tanky champion, and Misfortune does struggle into those quite a bit. So I really do like it as a way to round out their first couple part of that draft.
Absolutely,
No
and it looks like there was no ban here actually for the side of Exalted Gaming, as they were not going to be able to get that in time. So we'll see if there is maybe a mistake or a bug or something, but we'll keep tabs on that. Meanwhile, the response on the other side, a DoV Black, only 3 seconds. Maybe they just stopped banning. Okay, no, Lissandra came in through. Okay, I thought maybe they're just being polite and there are no bans here. So, picked up here, and it looks like Rumble will round out the draft. So it was just a misban, it looks like. Nope, I'm getting word from our production that it is an Akali ban, so keeping that in mind as well.
That's a good part about draft flow is that even if like the timer runs out slightly and like you can't find the champion in time, you can always just say Akali, and you don't have to restart the entire client and all that stuff. And not everyone has every champion, so despite draft lull, you know, maybe taking a little bit more time than people would desire to get in the games, it ensures the best competitive integrity for both teams and the league as a whole. So I hope that you can bear with that. Victor, it's late game scaling town for Exalted Gaming, and
Oh, get
I'm
it.
really appreciative of it because I think that Exalted Gaming goes to this late game comp with the Sona, with Cho'Gath, Sivir, Victor, but DoV Black going for more an early game comp, so we're gonna have a lot more of a more interesting dynamic rather than both teams having the same win comp.
Yeah, and it looks like on the other side, Olaf picked up, so likely throwing that... Actually, no, they did play Olaf jungle last time, so I'm not 100% sure where this Olaf will be going. And I normally see it on my own team as a top lane pick. So that is a bit of a flex pick there as well. But finally, we were going to see where this Seraphine is going once we see the final pick of the draft. It does look like I actually have no idea.
No, it's gonna be a Seraphine support, Maokai.
I think it's
What?
Maokai.
Wait,
I think it's
wait.
Maokai support, Seraphine mid, Dr. Mundo top, Olaf jungle.
Okay.
I think.
All right. I mean, that's
Why
okay.
are
I
there
think,
so many flex picks in the meta right now? Oh my goodness.
I think Maokai's a good pairing with Misfortune. I think Misfortune Seraphine is significantly better than Maokai. It's just such a great like bot lane duo. But I think Maokai Misfortune is definitely not something to slouch out. If they pick the Velvet, I'm gonna get so high.
All
Let's go! More scaling!
My main champion has been selected in competitive. Belveth. She is my one trick. That is one of my favorite champions. I'm going to see just how Phoenix Flare will be able to pilot this champion because it is one of my favorites. We'll see just how... I'll just see how this goes.
Yep. His draft is kind of whack, you know, but you know, honestly, the thing is that DoV Black has an early game centered comp, and they only main damage is Misfortune. And it'll probably Olaf, Misfortune are their main 2 damage dealers, but like if Olaf gets behind, it gets really rough. Exalted Gaming though have no lack of damage. This is a complete reverse. Exalted Gaming would struggle in damage in the first 2 games, and DoV Black would have it on other angles. But DoV Black, it's completely the opposite, where DoV Black now seem to lack the damage, but Exalted Gaming definitely have it. But like the only problem with Exalted Gaming's comp is that they're all squishy except the Cho'Gath. And so even though Misfortune might struggle with just a Cho'Gath, if she could just one-shot people in the backline with her ulti, it's really rough. So both team comps definitely have a lot bigger weaknesses than we saw coming out of game 2. So it's a lot harder to decide. You know what? I'm going to throw the question to my play-by-play. Who do you think will draft?
Well, that's not fair. I'm supposed to throw the question to you, but whatever. All right. In my opinion here, oh boy. I think there are easier ways for DoV. I think DoV Black won draft. Does that mean that I think they'll win the game? I'm not 100% sure. Just because of how Platinum games usually go, they scale very hard into the into the late game, as not a lot of teams are able to effectively end games earlier than you would want to. So the fact that they have the Victor and the Belbeth and the Cho'Gath and the Sivir, all very high scaling champions, will be very beneficial for the side of Exalted Gaming. I do think that DoV Black, Maokai, a very easy champion to pilot. Dr. Mundo, you press R, you're back to full. Misfortune, you press R, people die. Seraphine, you press R, people die. So I think they do have a very easy executable comp, if that makes sense. But there's a lot more skill expression, I think, on the other side, especially in like the Belbeth and the Cho'Gath, if they utilize those ults correctly, and the Victor as well. So I think if executed correctly, I think Exalted does have a stronger draft. But I've put my stock in them all series long. I'm voting that DoV Black will take this game.
All right, I'm just gonna do the scariest thing. Like Mousetrap's gonna be super afraid of this, but I'm going to agree with him in the draft. So that might curse you, and Exalted might take up the series. See how it goes. But I do think DoV Black's comp, despite having the weakness of lacking potentially some damage in the later game, it's pretty easy to execute overall. And I think that's kind of what you need in the last games. Exalted Gaming, they have to be like exactly on the same page for it to work, because they're also incredibly squishy. If they're not able to pick their targets right, it's going to be really rough. And it's just, I just genuinely think DoV Black, because it's easier to execute and it's a more well-rounded comp, it's going to be a lot more flexible, adaptable. It'll be better when they're behind. It'll be better when they're ahead. It will be better in terms of like if they're even. But Exalted Gaming, it's hard to say, because in game 2, they really showed up and played well. If they can show up like they did in game 2, I think they can win. But I think DoV Black just have the advantage in terms of draft. If we're going to talk purely draft, I would give it to them.
What I'm concerned about for Exalted Gaming is they don't really have a clear form of engage. They have a lot of pick potential in the Cho'Gath knockup, in the Sona ultimate, and with Sivir's ultimate as well. I think they have a lot of pick potential. But as we've seen in this series, 5v5 fights are where it's been at. And I just don't see the engage coming out from the side of Exalted Gaming unless they can really find those hard to hit abilities like a Cho'Gath W, knock up an important carry, and then everyone dives on. That is just a very unreliable form of engage. With the Maokai on the other side, with the Seraphine on top of the Maokai, with Misfortune ulted on top of all of that, I think there's just a very clear form of engage on the other side that is easily or more easily, I should say, more easily able to execute on the side of DoV Black. Lost my words there for a second, but I was right. I was right. It is Dr. Mundo in the top lane, Olaf jungle, Seraphine mid, and Maokai support. So, I predicted at least the comp right, even if I don't get the overall prediction, but we'll see.
Yeah, we got Flex Pick City here. They can go pretty much anywhere. If we want to look at individual matchups, I think that Misfortune Maokai do favor themselves into severe. Actually, wait, no, hold on. Here's the thing, right? This might sound a little egotistical, but I just imagine myself as each team's AD carry, and then like see if I was playing my best, like which matchup would win. I honestly think that Sivir Sona would probably win, but that relies on Sona playing well. I mean, no, I think Misfortune Maokai actually win, because Sivir has the spell shield for Maokai. She has it for the Misfortune double up, but the problem with that is that they can just opt to go into Sona with she has such low HP. She has no escape tools except for the flash. So if they just focus the Sona in the lane, they can definitely get Misfortune ahead without even dealing with the AD carry.
Absolutely. So unfortunately, we do have to hop to a quick spectator delay. We've already talked about our predictions. So we will get into the game as quickly as possible. We will just hop to a quick break here, and we'll be right back with Game 3, always the most entertaining of the games between DoV Black and Exalted Gaming. We'll be right back.
Back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang. Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v3 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice to escape with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal up, and they call comes back in the Shuriken Flip finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage retrieval back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still
find
performing
Akali
extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out, simply tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact spawn.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the ace, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9k HP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage. They want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes too strong, but this Twitch is free firing in the backline. Good Death trying to stall time for his 80 carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and this series. It seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor Big Bongo Boys.
The series is taken by Clarity Black.
And that was Risen Unstoppable for the night. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Risen Recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang, Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up,
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v3 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice to escape with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal up, and they call comes back in the Shuriken Flip finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage retrieval back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the...
Back, we got game 3 action here between DoV Black and Exalted Gaming. We got DoV on blue side, Exalted on red, and it looks like we might have some exciting level 1 shenanigans here. We haven't had any in the first 2 games, and we'll see if anything comes from this, as we have a 5-man invade coming through bot lane here.
Yeah. 5-man invade.
Oh, Mew-chan is a bit up. There's the flash. There's the root. Will she drop? No, she does manage to get the flash across. So she will be safe. But the double root comes through. Mew-chan does fall indeed. And Improvise has to run as well. Tries to get the exhaust off, but that double summoners Mew-chan is used. And it doesn't even save his life. The first blood coming through on Gator Crunchy. Huge here out of DoV Black.
Oh my god. He got caught. It was like Die High Demise, take the shot, and he just hit him with that double root up onto both Mew-chan and the Victor, and it didn't really come from the Victor. The Victor didn't force the flash, but Mew-chan used the Ghost, used the flash, and he took the Spell Shield level 1 and wasn't able to use it to save himself from that Seraphine, so he missed they played that completely, and that makes it really hard to play the lane when you don't have any push or any, because like you're gonna get zoned out of the lane, because you're having to walk back so far, you already died, so now they can play with Maokai saplings, they can play with Fortune Poke, and it's really hard for Sivir to pick up this early CS without having to just give it up to get to level 2.
And I am one of those people that really does believe, let me just pause here for a second, as we do have the dash in from Dawson Creek, but Mew-chan forced to take that spell shield at level 1, able to block the root that time around, so nothing comes up it. But what I was going to say is, I do believe that supports in the mid lane are so undervalued. You have your Soraka, your Seraphine, your Karma. All of those champions are just so dangerous. Improvise forced the flash, but you just flashed into your own death. Improvise goes down. 2 kills now going over to Gator Crunchy.
Gator Crunchy put his name on what he said. Second game, you think you're the better AD carry? Don't make me laugh. And he is stomping on this bot lane. And this all originated from the invade, because Sivir is so bad at fighting power without the Q and without the W. She's forced to take the spell shield. They're able to take these really early trades on the Sona. And like I was saying in Champ Select, they might have a Sona. They might have a Sivir who can spell shield like Misfortune abilities and or the Maokai route. But if they just go onto the Sona, they can one-shot them.
And it looks like there's a bit of a heavy trading there in the mid lane as well, but you also got to look at those items. An extra potion, control word, and 2 longswords before 3 minutes for the Misfortune. And she only has 9 CS, that is purely from those kills. Meanwhile, Yatvich in the top lane, Arashi-chan might have to flash away. Oh my goodness, what the heck is happening in this game? It is just absolute chaos here. And it's all going in favor of DoV Black. Here comes the Hex Flash in. He is able to spell shield it, but he still doesn't have a flash. And here's Stephen Hawking. Oh my goodness! This is going so bad.
Cloud Fiesta!
Oh, but Die High Demise doesn't have flash. He runs to the safety of his team, does get the root in as well. And Phoenix Flare goes down. Also now Improvise goes down as well for the second time. It is 6-0 before 4 minutes.
It is a 2.6k gold, 2.4k gold lead already for the side of DoV Black. Oh my god, they are just stomping on Exhaulted Gaming. They definitely are implying that the second game was a fluke, because they're putting so much effort in this early game and it's going up so successfully. And you need this to happen. And it's happening full force.
It's a 3k gold lead at 4 minutes. What the heck?
Like that's what they needed to do. That's what they literally needed to do. They need to get ahead early. I was expecting them to get this ahead early, but they need to get ahead early to prevent this scaling comp from doing its work. But they are taking the necessary fights, and it is... I think DoV Black's playing well, don't get me wrong, but it is also really bad responses coming out from Exalt Gaming. They continue to fight, and they continue to rotate down members for that fight, which everyone in the audience and their mothers knew they were losing, but they kept going for it. And unfortunately, that cost them even more kills and even more golds given over to DoV Black.
Oh, that is just so unfortunate here for Exalted Gaming. They are going to have to change something around here really quick before this gold completely falls out of their control. So, oh, that is just really rough. both end, like solo kills getting up in top lane too. The bot laners have died 4 times. You look at this kind of game, it's solo queue, and it's kind of, you almost feel like the toxic players would be like, this is an FF15 angle, but
Yeah.
oh my goodness, that is just a brilliant start here from DoV Black.
And it's going to be really hard to recover, but in this early game, when it's still solo and it's individual, it's not in this group setting, so there's still potential ways to play. But when I say that, usually that's like, oh, one member of the team is doing really well, and the others still have chances to bleed and chances to throw the game for their team. But a kill was given to each individual member on the side of DoV Black, so each one of them have an advantage. You can look at the gold. It is 300 gold extra for Seraphine, 600 gold advantage for Olaf. It is a, what is that like an? That is a, I think.
I think that's a 1300. That's a 1300 gold lead for the ADC. Oh my
yeah,
goodness!
And 800 from the Seraphine. But
Oh, here we go. The flash in. Miyuchan is forced to flash again, but it doesn't even mean anything. The sapling will get the finish off here. Phoenix Slayer doesn't even have time to gank. He just has to go into the lane just to save his support. Oh my goodness, the robe down from Thigh High Demise is here, but it doesn't look like anything will come of it, so he will just have to make his escape. This is going so poorly here for Exhaulted Gaming.
And if I am Exalted Gaming, I have bloodshot eyes staring straight at my bot lane, and you are not very happy with their performance currently, but they're putting under so much pressure. Stephen Hawking doing a really good job, knowing there's multiple win cons. And so what he does is he wants to shut down at least one of these lanes a lot, and he wants to get this Misfortune ahead. Because if you don't have a Misfortune ahead, look at the rest of the team comp. You don't have a lot of damage. So I think Stephen Hawking making a great decision to still play for his bot side, even though they are already so ahead. In the wise words of one of my friends, Yissen, Nick, he says, gank winning lanes, not losing ones, and he's definitely implementing that strategy in full force here.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Oh, and now here we go again in top lane. Arashi-chan does have the flash and doesn't need to use it, so he's able to walk away. He is still a tanky boy. It is going to be hard to kill the Cho'Gath. He does have level 6 now, so hopefully he's going to be able to get some of those stacks and become a bit of a front line here for the side of Exalted Gaming. But now it's Yatvij who's in trouble, does get the knock up, and Phoenix Flare is here, pops the ult to keep himself alive. Meanwhile, there's stuff happening in the bot lane. Thigh High Demise is not able to get the ultimate on. Yatvij is very, very tanky, but does not have the ultimate anymore, and Phoenix Flare is here. He is going to be able to pick up at least something here for Exalted Gaming as they finally are able to get a kill. But now with the junglers showing up on top side, this just means it's a free plates here for this. They might even get the whole turret. They have 4 members down here.
Yeah, the armor is increasing with every plate they take, but I do think they can. I don't think they can actually take this out here. Yeah, they're gonna back off, get the last plate. It's because it's gaining so much armor resistance just on the plates they're taking. But what I really like about how Phoenix Flare played that is that he was the carry in the first game, at least in the early game with that Wukong picked up a couple kills, especially that triple kill on the bot side, really putting his team ahead. But Phoenix Flare did a really good job here of recognizing that he could not take the 1v2 if Mundo had ulti up. They did not have the damage to kill him. So what he did was he smartly walked over and made sure there was no vision and waited out the Mundo ulti and then struck and went after Yatvij. And now, with allowing that, guaranteeing that kill, keeping himself healthy, also gets his team the Rift Herald. So despite being 3k gold down, if he places this in the right spot, he could potentially get a lot of plates here for his teammates.
Yeah, and as a Bel'Veth main, you do have to acknowledge that Rift Herald is actually so much more powerful than anyone thinks. Everyone undervalues the Rift Herald, even against a Bel'Veth, and it is so powerful for her. The pushing power is incredible. The extended ultimate is amazing, especially even just for clearing camps, you do more damage. So it's just amazing here for Phoenix Flare. While his team might be losing quite badly in the bot lane, he is able at least to have the opportunity to turn this around.
Yep, I'm doing a very good job at that. And Arashi-chan is trying to, do his best. Like he's trying to put up a performance, maybe like the second game where he can slowly lick his wounds and maybe try to provide some more value in the late game. But it is tank versus tank, and I think Mundo, in terms of scaling late game, with the current difference that we have, it will both kind of leave to an even state, because even though the Cho'Gath's super behind, he can make the comeback, but Die Demise might be...
But here we go. It's CC immune Olaf, but unfortunately the CC immunity does wear off quite fast. But now there's no flash on Rico Swamp, and he will go down.
Oh, but there's nothing really else going on. They want to siege this mid turret, but
It's Belveth.
Yeah, it's Belveth. You can't really do too much. And normally I would be the red flags would be going off my head. Spawn the Herald. But it is actually Belveth with the Herald because he did make that great gank in the top side. So he's able to mitigate the damage that normally would be dealt from something like a Rift Herald. And now Miyu Chen trying to take some plates against Yatvich while he sits there and lets his bot lane farm in some other lanes.
Yes, so the bot lane now looking for some plates on top side. Yatvich is the tank, doesn't really need them, and with this bot lane turret gone...
Wait, he can take this fight.
Oh my goodness, is he actually just... I thought he was actually just going to kill the Sona on his own, but Phoenix Flare dumping a lot of gold into himself here. The TP does come in, and Dawson Creek now forces him back into the turret, but... You know, 200 years champion, does have 4 dashes, but will that be able to save him? He does manage to pop the E, does get that damage mitigation, now gets the reset. Belveth is an absolute unit, but he's dropping dangerously low. Will the res...
Oh my god, he makes it out! That was really well played.
Make it out. Oh, Belveth is a 200 years champion for sure. That's why she's my favorite. The dashes and the damage reduction keeping him alive. Well played there from Phoenix Flare.
Yeah, honestly, I shouldn't have ever questioned a god. Phoenix Fire did a really great job at that fight. Originally, you start to question, hey, just run, man. Why are you still attacking them? But he knows that if he gets the reset, he gets... Doesn't he get, like... Because you're the ex-Belveth, resident Belveth expert here. Doesn't Belveth, like, restore her dashes after she gets the possession off?
No, she does not. The only thing that restores her dashes is hitting that W. It restores the dashes in that specific direction. But now I'll talk more about Belveth later because she is my favorite. But Chassis Chan is rooted up, manages to flash out of the Misfortune Ultimate, but will that save his life? As now Gator Crunch will be able to pick that up, and meanwhile his team in bot lane will be able to pick up the dragon, but now they're taking a 2v3 fight. CC Immune Olaf won't be able to stay alive, and now it's Yatvich now in trouble. Will the ult be able to save him? He has 4 members chasing him, but does have a lot of movement speed. The knock-up from Belveth misses. That may have sealed the fate of the corporate Mundo, but he is able to walk away.
Yeah, the stonks allow him to keep himself alive. He's got that money raised. He's got the stock market.
You gotta look at those stonks.
He's got to go back and cash them in, you know, so all high. He's got to hold the diamond hands. Whatever term you want to describe it that's related to stocks, that definitely applies to this Mundo. He's a big beefy boy running around the Rift doing his thing. But Belveth putting in a lot of work here in these team fights, but unfortunately she's not getting a lot of the kills. She only has 1 out of the 3 that she participated in. If this Belveth had 3 kills, this game would definitely be a different story and definitely be a lot more of an even game.
Even is maybe a bit of a stretch, but
a lot
definitely would be more of a win condition, I would say, on this Belveth. But you can see, and here comes Maokai. The spell shield is there, but the double flash, and Maokai follows through Miyu-chan, now dropping dangerously low. The ignite is on, the TP comes in. It is now double flash and a TP in exchange for Maokai ultimate.
What originally would be a pretty bad fight coming out from DoV Black is actually turns out pretty well. They use the ulti in order to engage with the Maokai, but the Seraphine has the Encore.
But they're not done. The Seraphine, the ult just came back, but he does get the root off. I don't think that will be enough to take out Rico Suave, so he is able to walk away. But that's now 4 flashes down for the side of the Exhaulted Gaming. That is just so rough for them. This next dragon fight, which will be spawning in 3 minutes, most of their members will not have flash for it.
Yep, and you'll notice that the Rift Herald's not spawning. They're pushing in the top side, but the mid lane is not pushed in, so they're going to lose a bit of minions here for this play, but overall it's pretty worth. They want to push their advantage to its maximum potential. Probably going to spawn the Rift Herald mid here after they either A, recall and group up his team and push it mid, or B, just take the Rift Herald, plop it mid, look to take out that mid lane tower. And I think a lot of teams here
after like getting taken down in that bot lane fight against that Bel'Veth, would say, hey, we got to slow on the brake, guys. We're going a little too fast, and they're starting to beat us now. But I do like the decision to keep the pressure on. We want to push for these aggressive plays. The Maokai going in with the ulti, and the Seraphine even rotating up on the back end to try to help out. They want these kills. They smell blood, and they want her, and they want to make sure that their enemies don't have time to breathe and get to that late game that is so crucial for them to make a comeback in this game.
Absolutely. You said there is a lot of scaling on the side of Exalted Gaming, but that don't matter if you never get to the late game. And right now, a bit of a whiff on that ultimate there, unfortunately, as it does not hit anyone. So a bit rough with the but the dragon is spawning in a minute and a half, so we will have that backup for that fight.
They just want to see where they're going to spawn it, and they're taking their claim onto the enemy jungle is DoV Black. They're doing a great job zoning Bel'Veth out. They know if she can't get any of these minions, she can't really get that good scaling that she really loves to have. But she's rotating on this backside here, and you know, we got the Rift Herald spawned. It's going to probably be multiple members rotating to try to make sure this Rift Herald gets in, and it gets popped instantly. They hit the eye to ensure that it doesn't get as much damage as DoV Black would have hoped for, but they still want to look for this tower. They're pushing in the waves. They send 4 members, but I'm not sure if this is the correct play here.
Breaking down mid turret is pretty beneficial, but there is the Soda ultimate and the Victor on top. We do have a TP coming in, but that is a lot of damage, but unfortunately no gold going over.
Yeah, and they bit off more than Chew. The reason I was kind of wary of that play was, might be fine, but I was scary of that play because there was so much, like, they were flying a little too close to the sun. If they get stunned up on their tower, their only decision is to run because if they start hitting, they start taking the damage from the tower. And now, DoV Black has to recall. So you see Bel'Veth and Sho'Gath getting vision on their bot side jungle so they can actually enter the pit. If they were able to back off and make sure they had map presence, it wouldn't allow Exalt Gaming to get any of this vision to walk into this pit. But now giving it could be a costly mistake and could potentially allow them to get themselves back. Despite it being 3k gold down in the early game, it has maintained that.
This is going to be a very crucial dragon fight. I think it'll dictate how the majority of the game will go for the rest of it. There's the flash in from Dawson Creek. They are looking for the Bel'Veth. Phoenix Flare does able to get the dash away. Dawson Creek dodges dangerously low. There is the charm up from Thigh High Demise. Phoenix Flare does get a reset, but it don't matter if you go down. But unfortunately, the rest of the team does look like it is in bad shape. Yachtbeach is doing a lot of damage. Mundo goes where he pleases. So unfortunately, it will be a 4 for 3, but fairly even, all things considered.
Yeah, no junglers up, so Seraphine could potentially look for a steal angle here. I will like to point out about that fight is that it was a great ulti from Seraphine, but crucially, Arachi-chan, the silent hero of Exalt Gaming squad, because he got a really great knockup on both Seraphine and Misfortune that made it so Misfortune couldn't really output the necessary damage onto the carries that were hit up by the Encore, but potentially a steal.
Oh my goodness, Thigh High Demise gets the steal on the dragon. That puts them on soul point. Thank you, producers, letting us know who the hero of that play is. Now, soul point here for DoV Black. That is crucial for them.
Yeah, really great stuff. And now you know the enemy team has to contest every single one of these dragons, or else they risk just giving you Ocean Soul. And especially since you can, like, they got a lot of poke, they got Sivir Q, Sona Qs, they have Victor Q. So definitely having the ability to drench some of that damage that happens in the initial poke of the fight can be really valuable for DoV Black, and they're continuing to mount the pressure, and the Baron is spawning within the next minute. It's going to be up to DoV Black to really claim this objective before the game gets a little bit more hairy, and they want to look to end the game either through Baron or through Soul. So in about 30 seconds, the main axe is going to be coming down. It could potentially be game deciding. So keep yourself in your seats and get ready to watch this exciting action that probably will happen on the Baron. I could be wrong, though.
We have both predicted DoV Black, so we definitely want to see this game end as quickly as possible. But one thing that worries me greatly, we see the gold lead is 3,000 gold. It has been 3,000 gold since 4 minutes. So unfortunately, they have not been able to extend their lead much. past that exceptional early game. So that is a bit concerning, but now it's Phoenix Flare against Thigh High Demise. Unfortunately, mages, you just do not do anything against the might that is Bel'Veth, so an easy kill here for Phoenix Flare.
Bel'Veth opting to clear out this wave right now. It doesn't look to push another one. Is immediately rotating up to the rest of the team. Unfortunately, because the Bel'Veth is the one that went down on the bot side to take the Baron, they now can go for this play. They recognize that she is not anywhere near to try to potentially go for the steal, and they look to burst it down instantly. But we do know Cho'Gath does have access to an ultimate, so he could look to steal here if he has vision.
And here comes the rest of the team as well. This actually might be a bit of a disaster here for DoV Black. Here they come. That is a 3-man stud here for Improvise, and Rico Swab will get the kill onto Dawson Creek. Unfortunately, that is just disastrous here for DoV Black. The Baron picked up here for the Bel'Veth and the rest of the team.
Yeah. Stephen Hawking wants to look for something and try to make the play. And I do like the idea behind going on the Baron here, but they just didn't fully commit. They saw the Cho'Gath, they got a little bit of cold field. Trust your jungler to hit that smite there. And if you don't trust your jungler there, like, it's a very risky play, but you're already caught with your pants down, so you might as well not pull out at this point.
Oh, wow, that was a very graphic way
that was a very graphic. I apologize. But, you know, it was accurate enough.
Well,
you know,
wow, okay, I did not know we were going in that direction. But okay, anyway.
All right.
Anyway, moving on.
Back to the game here.
So, one thing that you do have to keep in mind, there is still the avenue of the soul for victory here for the side of DoV Black. So, maybe they will be able to close it out with that, but... You know, now with the gold graph, not only even, but actually swung in the opposite direction, that exceptional early game that they had is just a bit lacking now, as you can see.
Mm-hmm. And now, the Dragon is probably going to be spawning within the next 2-ish minutes, and this is the really...
It's in a minute 15, yeah.
Minute 15. I forget This is why I'm not a production member, and this is why I'm a lowly caster, because I don't know how to use the replay system, so I don't really recognize when stuff is happening. Oh, but that's actually, like, extremely handy. I gotta look at that more. Usually, because, like, in game, I'm just like, oh, I check the tab, but there's no tab in this mode, so it's kind of confusing for, you know, a dumb AD carry player like me, but there might be some action coming out as Yatbeach...
Yeah, Yatbeach is now looking here for the victor. Mundo goes where he pleases, so he's able to negate that CC, and he's able to walk away. As Cho'Gath tried to get another Q onto him, but he's able just to leave. That briefcase keeping him safe.
Mm-hmm. And Dragon... I talk about it once.
Dragon is spawning in 30 seconds right now. River control belongs to the DoV. Akashi-chan is charmed up. That is huge. Ultimate, the wombo combo is so dangerous coming out from DoV Black. They have gotten now 2 members. They're going to make it a 3rd, unfortunately. The jungler does go down, so that's pretty bad. Dawson Creek now in a lot of danger. Phoenix Flare is able to get the kill, but now he's trapped in the pit. He will be able to find some dashes to get out, but right now they have no jungler for this dragon. It might be an easy steal here for Phoenix Flare, so they might have to wait.
Yeah, they might have to wait for this, especially since, you know, Stephen Hawking did eventually fall.
Oh, so Phoenix Flare rooted, exhausted.
Something bad happens.
Exhausted, is trying to run away, does have the ghost movement speed to keep himself away from the dangers that are the enemy team. The dash in does not catch anything. And now you can see the dragon is now at 4K. He is waiting, trying to see if he can get this smite off. He's going to have to dash in soon. There it is, easily stolen as we predicted. Does get the reset, so unfortunate there. What started as a good fight for DoV Black just goes so wrong.
Yep, and Phoenix Flare looking to get some more going, and it's honestly on the back of this Bel'Veth. He's just been doing such a good job, and he claims the last kill. It's just this Bel'Veth, this Phoenix Flare. This guy's definitely keeper, the superstar jungler on this team, and he wants to look to make the comeback and try to win this game. And they stall out the Ocean Soul crucially. Honestly, I think if Stephen Hawking was there, potentially take that and didn't fall to that Victor play. In the outcove, the outplay to take out 1-for-1 instead of just going down by himself allows Phoenix Flare and the rest of the squad to actually contest that feasibly without just giving up so much. So, really good job from him.
Absolutely. So now you can see with Belveth's Baron buff reinvigorated, you can see the minions that she spawns just absolutely wreak havoc on these towers. Oh man, she is the definition of a 200-year champion. She is my main. I am not proud of it.
No, you should be proud of it. Belveth's a good champion to watch, though. I enjoy watching Belveth.
She is, I have to say, one of the most fun champions I have ever experienced in this game. So, you know, the mobility, the damage. Your ult is, I gotta admit, honestly, her ult is my least favorite part of the kit. I don't like having grayed out ult for the majority of the game, and it only happens when something dies, so I'm not a big fan of that. And I'm not saying it's weak by any means, it is insanely strong, but I don't like not having access to that ult until something dies. So it is my least favorite part of the kit, but because of how strong it is worth that trade-off, and her 3 basic abilities are just so gosh dang powerful.
Yeah, they're very fun to use. Okay, the quick question before you get into the Baron here. Would you want it to be a part of her passive, like your ult, and then just have like a separate different ult and then maybe around the board?
Since she is my favorite character, I did a lot of reading on her. Apparently that was the original idea, and her ult was actually going to be a lot like a Hextech portal, and it was going to be, you can open up a portal at a certain point in the map, and it can take you to anywhere else on the map, I think, or something like that. The idea was obviously scrapped, so nothing really came of it, but I think that would have been a really cool ultimate, especially for a jungle, looking to now gank the other side of the map. The mobility would have been there, but now, unfortunately, Miyu-chan just does not have the ability to play this game. The wombo combo is there. Arachi-chan does go down as well. CC immune Olaf is kept just barely alive. Phoenix Flare is looking now for those resets, but unfortunately cannot find them. Stephen Hawking is now dangerously low, but the Baron is spawned with 2 members of Exalted Gaming down for the count.
I don't think DoV Black can really take this feasibly because they are so down in members, and if Belveth gets 1 reset, well, then that fight's pretty much over because she will get the health back.
Oh, but Improvise steps a bit too far. That looks like an easy pick. The stun is there. Gator Crunchy has slayed Improvise as well, and now with 3 members down, you can see the pigs. They are turning over to the Baron.
Yeah, they want this Baron crucially here. They just want to take it right now because they got to make sure they end this game as quickly as possible to not allow for the scaling, especially since they're down 3k gold. This will even out a little bit more, but not just completely. They need to take these towers. And so the TP response actually from Thahai Demise to try to defend, not Thahai Demise, from Yadvich to try to defend this, but he's under so much pressure and fire. They say, we don't care about no Baron, we care about these towers, but Arachi-chan might die to this tower, but he doesn't quite yet, and Phoenix Flare,
but now Phoenix Flare is picked off. That is the downside of the Belveth ultimate. It's not like a Viego. You are not untargetable. You are very much vulnerable channeling that ultimate. He goes down in exchange for Yadvich.
God, this game is so incredibly intense. I think the Call of TP was pretty good there. Even
the interrupt. Akashi-chan does have to flash away as his back was interrupted. There was a bit of a cocky back, I have to say there. You just want to go maybe just a little bit farther, and then you don't have to use your flash. So a bit rough there for the side of Exalted Gaming. And now all of a sudden, I feel like this game has just swung completely the opposite direction. As with Dragon spawning in 25 seconds, the jungler's not even alive right now. Will they be able to even contest this?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if they're gonna have a. Yeah, I think the jungle can contest this because the dragon will not spawn before she doesn't get there. But it's gonna be hard for them to get into the pit.
Yes, but it looks like they're going for something a little cheeky here, and it does not look like it'll actually pay off for them as they're going to be entering from the river instead. It is going to be a 5v5 fight. It's all a matter of who could get picked and when. There is no engage here, and there is the charm, and the main tank is just melted. Rico swapped by dudes now, finds himself in the entirety of the enemy team, but now the jungler goes down. Phoenix Flare does get the reset on Belveth. She does have that improved mode here, but now it's a 2-for-1. The jungler is down. There can be another steal here. Yeah, oh my goodness, you just have to assume what are they going to do. It looks like they're going to wait. They're going to let Seraphine back, get her health, and then TP back in looking for that flank. They are just playing it very, very safe, waiting for Phoenix Flare to dive in. The dragon resets. Oh my goodness, this is so tense and nothing is really happening.
Yeah, it's just a close fight overall. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but the steal might happen pretty soon.
Yep, the Phoenix Flare is there. The steal is there as well. What are you guys doing? You're not going to be able to outsmite a jungler. But now the flash is there for Miyu-chan, and he is being chased intently. Dawson Creek now trying to get onto Improvise, but I don't think you're going to be able to catch the Sona. Again, you guys are not going to be able to outsmite Bel'Veth without Olaf, so it's a bit curious why they thought that would work.
I think maybe their thought process was, you know, maybe grasping at straws here, but they probably were like, they're going to have to commit everything to steal this. They're going to need to send Bel'Veth into the pit and the rest of the team. So if we can just wipe 3 members, we can look to end the game even if they're able to steal it away. But even if there was that plan, that did not go successfully because Bel'Veth dashed in, dashed out, and then they weren't able to catch a Sona. She does have movement speed with her E, so the Maokai without Flash cannot catch up to her and get a crucial pick to potentially swing the game. And so they just steal it away for free. Got robbery in broad daylight here.
Yeah, that's back-to-back steals now. Phoenix Flare on point with those smites, but as a jungler, I will say, when there is no jungler on the enemy team, those smite fights are ridiculously easy. He is on point. You do have to give credit where credit is due, but all you have to do is wait until it's below 900, and then it's just a free steal. So you don't have that luxury, obviously, when there's an enemy jungler. You have to try and time it right to try and beat his own smite, so... Definitely a bit rough here, but now they're walking into this kind of blind here. CC immune. Phoenix Flare now gets the charm on, so he is in danger. Does not have flash. The E is there to keep him alive, and all of a sudden this fight has turned completely around. This actually might be the end of the game here.
They got 3 members, and looks like they want to get more. But what I would like to point out before they eventually make their marching step to potentially take victory is that if, I could be wrong here, but because Cho'Gath is in a fight, like, Cho'Gath actually has a better smite than the jungler with his consume. So I think that was probably the thought process, that Cho'Gath just ulties. But I don't think Cho'Gath got it off in time. And so I think that's what probably was happening there, and that's why they kind of went for that play.
I see. All right, so they'll at least be able to get this inhibitor, and I still think they could probably push on and try to end the game here. They don't have a lot of minions, so they'll be able to grab 2 inhibitors at least and be able to back out once again. Like you mentioned, the scaling is on the side of Exhaulted Gaming. It is at a dangerous point in the game right now.
It is a very dangerous point. I would definitely agree. But I feel like Exalted Gaming, they're doing a great job of just bursting someone at the start of the fight with the core, but they use all their abilities just to kill one person, and then when it's not the Bel'Veth, they often get counter-engaged, but they're kind of walking into a trap here.
Yeah, that is one of the good things about Maokai. His saplings do grant vision. They see 4 in that brush there, and they are able to avoid getting jumped once again. So, well done there by Dawson Creek in order to spot out that potential ambush.
Baron is spawning within the next minute, in 36 seconds to be perfectly exact. And we're going to have to see both teams are probably going to have to commit all their resources here, so this might be the final fight of the game. Because if either side gets Baron, they can do a marching vector to victory. Depending on how bloody the fight is, depending on how many people are killed, it can potentially convert into a win, so you have to look out for this type of thing. You could potentially play for a steal if you're on either side, but the one with the pit advantage, because they're on blue side, DoV Black does sort of have this pit advantage where they can kind of just sit in the pit and they don't have to like awkwardly walk into it like Exalt Gaming has to, and they probably look to start it up after they clear this vision. They just look to get the scuttle. They're biding their time. They're deciding, and they're not really opting to go for it off the bat.
No, and what was such a bad early game for Exalted Gaming has just turned into an absolute unit. That Bel'Veth doing work here for the side of Exalted Gaming, and they're trying to push out this mid wave here. But now the Baron is started up. Will they be able to actually complete it before they contest? No, they will not. Looks like they're going to turn the fight. The Maokai ult comes through, and once again, it is just Arashi-chan just face-tanking the majority of the damage here, but Phoenix Flare now gets the reset, and he will absolutely wreak havoc on the enemy team. This is going so poorly now for DoV, and they will just fall to the might that is the Empress of the Void.
And the TPs come in. They want to end the game right here. The last remaining member, Thigh High Demise. Looks like it's going to finally spell demise for him and his team as they look to end the game and close out the series.
Hey, we don't care about no doubters. We might have been down 6 kills at 3 minutes, but we made the comeback. We won the game. We took the series, and they shut up me and Mousetrap in our predictions, and they take the series.
A bit unfortunate. I was hoping we would get some prediction. I got my prediction right in game 1. I'm kind of riding that high right now, so we'll just stick with that for now. But unfortunately, the final does come through, and it is it is a bit of a win here, or not a bit. It is a 2-1 win over here for. It's just I'm just disappointed. I was hoping we could get a prediction right, but good win here for Exhaulted Gaming.
Yep, absolutely. And as we approach the end of the game, let me just check in. I don't know if we're going to get an interview or we're going to end off.
I do not believe so. No.
I do not believe we are going to get an interview for the winning team. But if we were to give an MVP, Mousetrap, who would it be?
All right, so I think the player that performed the best across both of their wins was. I'm just looking at the stats right now. I would have to probably throw my hat in for. I would say Phoenix Flare. I think he did the majority of the work in both of their wins on the Belveth. Like you could see it in this most recent game on the Belveth, he was an absolute unit, and even last game on the Wukong, you could see what he was able to influence across the map. I would have to give my MVP over to him.
You know, interesting, Luff. I actually think I'm gonna go in MVP to Phoenix Flare. I think it's pretty obvious, actually. No, I think Phoenix Flare popped off in both games, and definitely on the second game, this third game, he kept hope alive when his team really needed it most. They were in a dire situation. They were probably tilted as all heck, and so they were like, we're just gonna lose this game. And probably Phoenix Flare was like, let's go, guys, we can still win this. He made great ganks. He kept his team in the game, and despite him not being the craziest in terms of stats, they have an 8-3 Victor, they have a 6-5 Sivir, they got good stuff all around the board. But it was really this Belveth that kept them alive in this early and mid game, which is not really characteristic for that champion, but he was very adaptable and adjustable, and definitely put the team on his back and brought them home this series. The reverse sweep coming out, and I'm very excited for the series. And
yes, that was very entertaining to watch. Exhausted Gaming coming out on top and will extend their record to, I believe, 4-1 in the series. So before we close off, do you have any ending comments to make here?
Follow me at twitter.com.
I knew that was coming. That's why I gave you.
Yep.
That's why I gave you.
Yep.
Gave
Just
you
follow
the
me on Twitter. I'm losing followers. I lost 4 followers the other day, and I was emotionally devastated. So I'm gonna need you guys to get.
We got to save
better?
Slatty's Twitter, so we gotta go over, get those follows off, and
yeah.
And meanwhile, I don't really care about my Twitter followers, but if you feel like following me on Twitch at MousetrapTTV, feel free to do that. But I'm not plugging my Twitter because, like I said, I don't care about that. But let's save Slatty's Twitter for him. But other than that, I want to give my congratulations to Exhaulted Gaming. Well done to them. Also got to give my props over to DoV. That was very well fought. You guys did really well in Game 3, especially in the early game, but just outscaled in the end. So that is a bit rough for them. For all of us here at Risen Esports, I want to bid you all a good night. Please check back on our next streams, and for those of you who are enjoying Worlds, maybe it's EU's year, but I don't think we did enough flaming of NA, but we will be sure to do that next time.
All right, peace out, y'all. See you later.
Take care.